Chapter 275. The fire-eyed golden ape was instantly enraged and smashed out with his rod. Woof! The large black dog barked loudly. With a shake of his body, he instantly became the size of a mountain and bit down with his mouth that was like a black hole. With a loud bang, the fire-eyed golden ape's rod blocked the large hand in midair. The powerful force almost shattered this large hand. At the same time, the large black dog bit down. Instantly, with a kacha sound, the void within a radius of a few thousand miles was crushed by the large black dog along with this large hand. Finally, it was swallowed by the large black dog. Courting death. A furious roar came from the forest. Clearly, the owner of this large hand was very displeased to see his large hand destroyed in an instant. Kill this king dog. After the large black dog swallowed this demon king's large hand, he barked and instantly soared into the air. In the void, he opened his mouth again and bit down on the entire forest below. On the other side, the fire-eyed golden ape smashed the sky with his rod and swiftly smashed towards the demon king in the forest. The demon king in the forest roared angrily. Under the joint attack of the fire-eyed golden ape and the large black dog, he rushed out of the forest in a sorry state. The large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape grinned maliciously and rushed up, joining forces to attack this demon king. At this moment, this demon king was very depressed. Originally, when he heard the news of the fire-eyed golden ape's appearance, he rushed over immediately. Coincidentally, he met the fire-eyed golden ape on the way. Overjoyed, he immediately attacked, wanting to capture the fire-eyed golden ape. At that time, he only had eyes for the fire-eyed golden ape. As for Murong Yu and the large black dog, he automatically ignored them. After all, Murong Yu is only a body integration cultivator, no matter how he looked at it. Although the large black dog looked very powerful, he was only a dog. He was not even considered a demonic beast. However, he did not expect that the large black dog's strength was actually so terrifying. Moreover, these two fellows were too shameless, joining forces to attack the moment they attacked. As soon as they exchanged blows, this demon king was tragic. He was no match for the large black dog and the large black dog. In less than a few breaths of time, the demon king was already injured. At this moment, the demon king was fighting and retreating in panic. What a bastard! How can these two bastards be so strong? The Yao King kept cursing inwardly. You still want to escape? Die. The fire-eyed golden ape roared angrily again and again. The golden rod in its hand danced with vigor and vigor, splitting the heavens and splitting the earth. It pierced the heavens and was extremely terrifying. On the other side, the large black dog was also slapping out with his dog paws, his large mouth continuously tearing apart the void. His attacks were even more terrifying than the attacks of the fiery-eyed golden ape, and even more frightening. Murong Yu did not make a move. At this moment, he was sealing a rank 6 spirit vein that had only revealed itself after the big black dog and the other two had shattered a huge mountain in the Hichu Luoshu world. There are so many spiritual veins in the depths of the extreme celestial realm. Murong Yu sighed inwardly. Perhaps a long, long time ago, the cultivation world was also like this. However, as the number of cultivators increased, the cultivation world became more and more barren, and the extreme celestial realm was extremely vast, as if there was no end at all. However, the cultivation world's cultivators were unable to enter the extreme celestial realm. Even if there were cultivators who could enter, they were only cultivators below the spirit severing stage. Cultivators of these stages could only move around the outermost area of the extreme celestial realm and could not go deep at all. And the place where Murong Yu is now was already relatively deep, and there were even demon kings appearing. The cultivation world's cultivators who entered the extreme celestial realm were unable to go deep at all. Even if they had the ability, they could not seal the spiritual veins. And in the depths of the extreme celestial realm, spiritual veins were the most worthless. Therefore, Murong Yu had long become Murong Yu. As long as I'm strong enough, I don't have to fear the demon kings or even the master of the extreme celestial realm. The extreme celestial realm is my backyard. But now is not the time. Now, Moronyu was not confident in dealing with these powerful demon kings. Not to mention, there was also the unfathomable master of the extreme celestial realm. The spiritual veins in the extreme celestial realm are one thing, but the most important thing is still the ruins. But there are too few ruins, and there aren't any valuable ruins. If it was only the spiritual veins, Moronyu would have a huge harvest in the extreme celestial realm as long as he was careful. For the current Moronyu, the spiritual veins were not what he lacked the most. What he lacked the most now was all kinds of magic treasures and weapons. Now that the members of the Chaos world had all reached the transformation stage, ordinary flying swords and magic treasures could no longer satisfy them. What he needed now was immortal weapons. However, immortal weapons were magic treasures and divine weapons of the immortals in the immortal world. There were not many of them in the cultivation world, and their value was extremely high. Even if Moronyu had more spiritual veins, he would not be able to find more immortal weapons. Even if it was a spirit weapon, there were not many. Moronyu could only pray that he could find some ruins, and it would be best if there were all kinds of magic treasures inside. But how could there be so many ruins in the world? Roar! Just as Moronyu was thinking, a furious roar came from afar. Moronyu turned to look, only to see that the Demon King who had launched a sneak attack had already been smashed half his body by the fire-eyed golden ape. The Demon King screamed in pain, trying to escape. But how could the fire-eyed golden ape and the large black dog let him go? Especially the large black dog, who was drooling at this moment, his eyes shining as he looked at the Demon King. To the large black dog, the stronger the cultivator, the more nourishing it was. This Demon King's strength was not bad, and eating more would make him stronger. Pung, pung, pung. Under the joint attack of the fire-eyed golden ape and the large black dog, this Demon King was finally beaten to death. In the end, it was eaten by the large black dog. Let's go, we'll go deeper and eat all the Demon Kings in the extreme celestial realm. After eating a Demon King, the large black dog was very satisfied and actually shouted that he would eat all the Demon Kings in the extreme celestial realm. The fire-eyed golden ape glanced at him and sneered disdainfully. If you dare to charge into the depths of the extreme celestial realm, the one to be eaten will not be them, but you. Woof! Golden-furred ape, are you looking down on me? The large black dog was instantly enraged. I'm obviously looking down on you. The fire-eyed golden ape did not back down. Woof, I'm going to eat you. The large black dog was very displeased and pounced over with a loud bark. The fire-eyed golden ape was not easy to deal with either. Seeing the large black dog pounce over, he also smashed down with his staff. Instantly, the two demonic beasts that could not tolerate each other like fire and water started to fight again. Moronyu seemed to not see them and did not intend to stop the fight at all. These two guys' strength was about the same, and they could not tolerate each other like fire and water, often fighting. In Muronyu's opinion, as long as the two of them didn't have a clear winner, they'd continue to fight each other. However, this was also a good thing. Fighting with opponents of the same strength was extremely beneficial to them. Moreover, when facing everyone's enemy, these two guys were united against the external enemy and cooperated extremely well, just like how they killed that Demon King just now. Moronyu flew through the void, and his enormous divine sense spread out, continuously searching for the nearby spirit veins. Along the way, Moronyu collected a few more spirit veins, although their grades were not high. Meanwhile, the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape fought fiercely all the way, causing chaos in the places they passed by. In this process, they met another Demon King again. This Demon King's strength was extremely terrifying and was several times stronger than the two Demon Kings they met before. This time, Moronyu also attacked, and finally, it took 3 of their power of 9 bulls to kill that Demon King. Although there were many Demon Kings in the extreme heaven realm, the news of Moronyu entering the extreme heaven realm had already spread. However, The extreme heaven realm was really incomparably vast, and even if these demon kings received the news, they could not rush over at the same time. Moreover, as Murong Yu and the other two went deeper, some of the demon kings had already passed by them. Half a month later, Murong Yu had an additional 10 rank, 9 spirit veins in his hands. In addition to the original rank, 9 spirit vein, Murong Yu already had 11 rank, 9 spirit veins. 11 rank, 9 spirit veins in the cultivation world. Murong Yu was definitely extremely rich. Even the top 10 sects were probably only SOSO. In addition, Murong Yu also had 100 rank, 8 spirit veins, and 500 rank, 7 spirit veins. As for the other grades of spirit veins, there were countless, reaching tens of thousands. In terms of spirit veins, Murong Yu was almost the richest person in the cultivation world. Of course, this was not absolute. After all, the top 10 sects had such a deep foundation, and there was never a lack of rich people in the cultivation world. After all, Murong Yu was not a core member of the top 10 sects, and he did not know what kind of foundation these sects had. However, with so many spirit veins, it was enough for the 100,000 members of Chaos City to squander for a long time. Golden Ape, you are a demonic beast in the extreme heaven realm. Do you know if there are any ruins in the extreme heaven realm? Murong Yu stopped and asked. The fire-eyed golden ape pondered for a moment, then shook his head and said, "There are ruins in the extreme heaven realm. However, after so many years, those valuable ruins have long been divided among the demonic kings. It was normal for the demonic kings to be interested in the ruins. After all, demonic beasts did not know how to refine weapons, and they also needed all kinds of Dharma treasures and weapons. In the cultivation world, people who entered the extreme heaven realm could occasionally find some ruins, but those ruins were probably not of interest to the demonic kings, or they had already taken away the more valuable things in the ruins. Some of the ruins have already been taken away, and some have been occupied by some demonic kings as their cave abodes." The fire-eyed golden ape pondered and said, "However, I know of a place, and it is said that there's a ruin there. However, it is a forbidden area in the extreme heaven realm, and for countless years, no demonic kings have dared to enter." Forbidden area? Murong Yu frowned slightly. The so-called forbidden area must be very dangerous inside. However, at the same time, the forbidden area also had endless wealth and opportunities. After pondering for a moment, Murong Yu looked at the fire-eyed golden ape and said, "Where is the forbidden area? Lead the way." "But that place is very dangerous. Woof. What are you nagging for? I told you to lead the way, so just lead the way. Do you believe that I will eat you?" The large black dog barked in displeasure. The fire-eyed golden ape gritted his teeth, and a crazed look appeared in his eyes. "Since that is the case, then let's go to the forbidden area to take a look. To be honest, I have long wanted to enter the forbidden area." Seeing the crazed look in the fire-eyed golden ape's eyes, Murong Yu could not help but shake his head. As the saying went, birds of a feather flocked together. Other than him, whether it was the large black dog or the fire-eyed golden ape, they did not seem to be obedient. They were all crazy. Chapter 276. The forbidden area of the ultimate heaven realm was not in the deepest part of the ultimate heaven realm. In fact, even native demon kings like the fire-eyed golden ape did not know where the deepest part of the ultimate heaven realm was, how deep it was, and what dangers there were. That was because the deeper one went, the more dangerous it was. Even demon kings did not dare to go too deep. Hence, no one knew the situation in the deepest part of the ultimate heaven realm. The forbidden area that the fire-eyed golden ape mentioned was not far from them. With the fire-eyed golden ape leading the way, Murong Yu and Li Wuyo flew towards the forbidden area of the extreme heavenly realm. Not long after they left, the void shattered and a few figures appeared where Murong Yu was. They were the demon kings of the ultimate heaven realm. There were already dozens of them gathered together. They're heading towards the sacred ground. "It must be that damned fire-eyed golden ape," a demon king said angrily. "Go after them and kill them. We can't let them enter the sacred ground." Another Saint King roared with murderous intent. He leaped into the air and chased after Murong Yu and the other two. They found Murong Yu and the other two so easily because the places that Murong Yu and the other two passed by were in a mess. Murong Yu would not let go of any spirit vein or treasures that they came across. Hence, the ground was in a mess. As long as one was not blind, they would know that Murong Yu had gone in this direction. The Demon Kings chased after them at full speed, but they could not catch up to Murong Yu. They were getting closer and closer to the Forbidden Area. Finally, before they got close to the Forbidden Area, the Demon Kings caught up to Murong Yu and the other two. Although Murong Yu and the other two were not slow, they had to collect spirit veins and the like along the way, which wasted a lot of time. The Demon Kings who were chasing after them did not stop at all. Naturally, they caught up to them. However, what made the Demon Kings even angrier was that they found a few places where there were battles along the way. The ground was shattered, and the terrifying aura was still left behind. Clearly, more than one Demon King had been killed. Moreover, with the means of these Demon Kings, it was very easy for them to reconstruct the scene of the battle. What made them furious was that every time a Demon King was killed by Murong Yu and the others, the big black dog would eat the Demon King's corpse. For a Demon King to be killed due to his lack of strength, he could only blame himself for not being strong enough. Even if these demon monarchs discovered it, they would not be angry. However, not only did Murong Yu kill these Demon Kings, he even ate them in the end. This was an insult to their Demon King, insulting the dignity of the Demon Kings. Fire-eyed Golden Ape, stop right there. The Demon Kings roared as they charged forward. During this process, each and every one of them reached out and attacked Murong Yu and the other two. This was especially so for the fire-eyed Golden Ape. Among the dozens of Demon Kings that attacked, at least 2/3 of them attacked it directly. Its expression suddenly changed. 10,000 miles away is the Forbidden Area, the fire-eyed Golden Ape said in a deep voice, after which it flew forward. Even the weakest of the Demon Kings behind him was stronger than him. The fire-eyed Golden Ape had no intention of fighting with dozens of Demon Kings that were stronger than it. As for Murong Yu and the big black dog, it was the same. You F***ers, follow me into the Forbidden Area if you dare, the heavenly dog cursed as it flew forward quickly. Fire-eyed Golden Ape, you traitor. You actually brought humans into the sacred area. You will be the enemy of all the Demon Kings in the extreme heaven realm. A Demon King roared angrily. To experts at their level, a distance of 10,000 miles could be covered in the blink of an eye. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Murong Yu and the other two charged into the Forbidden Area like 3 shooting stars. And perhaps because this was the sacred area of the extreme heaven realm, the pursuing Demon Kings did not dare to enter. In fact, they even retracted the power they had unleashed. Obviously, this was not only a forbidden area, but also a sacred area. A sacred area that they did not dare to offend. Fire-eyed Golden Ape, you are dead. You better stay in the sacred area forever. Otherwise, you will definitely die. Many Demon Kings stood outside the sacred area, shouting angrily. All of them wanted to kill Murong Yu and the other two. However, this was their sacred area. Even if they had the guts, they would not dare to enter. As for the fire-eyed Golden Ape, this guy had left the extreme heaven realm long ago and had no attachment to this place. Most importantly, this guy had long wanted to enter the sacred area to investigate. Many Demon Kings cursed outside the sacred area, as if they wanted to curse Murong Yu and the other two out. However, Murong Yu and the other two did not respond at all, as if they did not hear anything. The commotion attracted even more demon monarchs to come over. Not long after, hundreds of Demon Kings appeared outside the sacred area, all of them looking inside with murderous intent. However, no one dared to step into the sacred area. At this moment, inside the sacred area, Murong Yu looked coldly at the fire-eyed Golden Ape, and the big black dog looked at the fire-eyed Golden Ape with a murderous glint in his eyes. Golden-furred ape, what is going on? Isn't this a forbidden area? How did it become a sacred area? The big black dog looked fierce, as if he would pounce, and eat the fire-eyed golden ape if it did not give a reasonable explanation. The fire-eyed golden ape broke out in a cold sweat. Listen to my explanation. Moroni nodded. He was also somewhat displeased now. Anyone would be displeased if they were made a fool of. However, he was not an unreasonable person. He gave the fire-eyed golden ape a chance to explain. Hence, the fire-eyed golden ape told them about this forbidden area, which was also the so-called sacred area. It turned out that this was indeed a sacred area, but at the same time, it was also a forbidden area. The sacred area had existed for a long time. Legend had it that it appeared with the appearance of the extreme heaven realm. All along, it had been passed down from generation to generation. All demonic beasts were told that this was their sacred area after they were born, and they could not step in. Why is this place? Moroni frowned slightly. If a place did not have a special meaning, it would not become a sacred area for no reason. Legend has it that the ancestor of all demonic beasts of the extreme heaven realm is buried in the depths of the sacred area. Demon ancestor. Speaking of this demon ancestor, the fire-eyed golden ape's face revealed a look of reverence. After all, that was their ancestor. They could not disrespect it. Your extreme heaven realm demon ancestor? Moroni frowned slightly. You said that the sacred area appeared with the appearance of the extreme heaven realm. Could it be that the extreme heaven realm is a mystic realm opened by that demon ancestor? The fire-eyed golden ape shook his head. I don't know. These are only our legends. As for whether there is really a demon ancestor inside, I dare not be sure. Even the current demon monarchs might not know about it. Demon ancestor? What level is it? Hearing that the demon ancestor was buried in the sacred area, the big black dog's eyes instantly lit up. We call it the Heaven Demon Emperor or Heaven Demon God, the fire-eyed golden ape said with reverence. However, he quickly reacted. He looked at the big black dog with killing intent and said fiercely, "Big black dog, I won't stop you from eating the demon king. However, if you dare to have any ideas about the corpse of a demon, I definitely won't let you go." The big black dog's saliva dripped all over the ground. He rolled his eyes. It's just a demon ancestor. It's not your ancestor. The fire-eyed golden ape was furious. No matter what, the demon ancestor is the ancestor of our extreme heaven realm demon clan. Damn dog, if you dare to have any ideas about it, I will kill you even if I have to risk my life. The big black dog was a glutton who dared to eat anything. If they encountered the demon ancestor's corpse, they would probably swallow it in one gulp. No matter what, the demon ancestor was the ancestor of the fire-eyed golden ape. How could it tolerate the big black dog eating its ancestor's corpse? At this moment, Moroni frowned deeply. Heaven Demon Emperor or Heaven Demon God? Those that could be called emperors were at least immortal emperors in the celestial realm. One had to know that in the celestial realm, even if one had the strength of an immortal emperor, not everyone with the strength of an immortal emperor dared to call themselves emperors. Those that dared to call themselves emperors were definitely super elites whose names could shake a region. As for heaven demon gods, they were even more terrifying. A god, even the weakest one, was countless times more powerful than an immortal emperor. If what the fire-eyed golden ape said was true, then the one buried in the sacred land might be an immortal emperor or an even more terrifying existence, a god. A demon immortal emperor or a demon god. If that was the case, then as long as they found the tomb of this heaven demon emperor or heaven demon god, their harvest would definitely be astonishing. After all, the treasures of immortal emperors or gods, even if it was just a small toy, would possess unparalleled terrifying power. Moreover, although this place had existed for countless years, no demon clan dared to take half a step into it. In other words, this place was equivalent to a ruin that had not been explored by anyone. All right, if your ancestor is really a heaven demon emperor or heaven demon god, as you say, the big black dog won't be able to eat it at all. Although the big black dog's physical body was incomparably strong, the corpse of an immortal emperor, even if it was just a corpse, could easily destroy him. Golden Ape, since this place belongs to your demon clan's Saint Emperor and can't even take half a step into it. Why did you bring us in? Murong looked at the fire-eyed golden ape with suspicion. If this guy had some scheme, then he would definitely have to be destroyed. Feeling Murong's killing intent, the fire-eyed golden ape smiled bitterly and said, I definitely don't have any other intentions. I only heard that the demon ancestor was an extremely powerful expert when it was alive, and I've long wanted to obtain its cultivation technique. If I can obtain its cultivation technique, my strength will definitely skyrocket. Murong nodded. Although the fire-eyed golden ape also had a cultivation technique, it was not necessarily very powerful. However, the demon ancestor was an immortal emperor or a god, so how could its cultivation technique be simple? Chapter 277. The forbidden area of the extreme heaven realm was the sacred ground of all the monsters in the extreme heaven realm. The sacred ground was not very big, about 100,000 miles in radius. However, it was surrounded by clouds and mist. From afar, the entire sacred ground was shrouded by a thick layer of clouds and mist. It was impossible to see anything inside. Furthermore, the sacred ground was filled with an inexplicable power that prevented divine consciousness from entering. Because of this, the monster kings in the extreme heaven realm could only be anxious outside the sacred ground and did not dare to enter. For a long time, all the monsters were told when they were born that this was the sacred ground and that they must not step into it. Therefore, even though countless years had passed, not only did no one dare to step into the sacred ground. On the contrary, the monsters were more and more in awe of this sacred ground. After all, it could be their ancestor, a heavenly monster emperor, or a heavenly monster god buried inside. Although everyone knew that there must be all kinds of treasures and even the inheritance of a heavenly monster god in the tomb. However, out of respect for their ancestor, no one dared to enter. Even if someone had the idea, they did not dare to enter. Otherwise, once they were discovered, no matter how big the extreme heaven realm was, there would be no place for them. As for the fire-eyed golden ape, it was also very respectful to its ancestor. However, because of the master of the extreme heaven realm, it no longer regarded itself as a monster of the extreme heaven realm. Although its ancestor might be buried in the sacred ground of the extreme heaven realm, it was still in awe of this ancestor. However, it was not like the monsters outside who did not dare to step into the sacred ground. The heavenly demon the arch, or heavenly demon immortal of the demon race. If he could obtain the legacy of this ancestor, he would become even stronger. At that time, it could even destroy the master of the extreme heaven realm. Only by obtaining the ancestor's inheritance would it have the power to resist. Otherwise, it could only wait for death. Not only it, but all the monster kings in the extreme heaven realm could only seek death. This was because they could not ascend in the extreme heaven realm. In fact, it was unknown whether they could not ascend. Although these monster kings were powerful, no one had ever ascended to the heaven realm. In other words, as long as a monster king reached the realm of ascension, it would die inexplicably. Therefore, there had never been an ascended powerhouse in the extreme heaven realm. Obviously, it was not that these monsters could not ascend, but that someone had erased them. As long as a demon's strength reached a certain level, they would be obliterated. That bastard fire-eyed golden ape actually brought an outsider into the sacred land. Truly unforgivable. Damn it, many demon kings said with murderous intent. They deserve to die for trespassing into the Holy Land. We should chase after them and kill them. Otherwise, if we disturb the patriarch, we'll really deserve to die. Another demon king said in a deep voice, no one is allowed to trespass into the forbidden area. Otherwise, only death awaits. Even we can't enter the sacred grounds. One of the demon kings coldly glanced at the restless demon kings and said coldly, the demon king's intentions were obvious. They wanted nothing more than to enter the sacred ground and obtain the treasures left behind by the demon ancestor or even the patriarch's inheritance. Usually, many demon monarchs had such thoughts. However, no one dared to enter. If they could take advantage of this opportunity to enter the sacred land, these demon kings would definitely rush in impatiently. However, the fire-eyed golden ape went in. Were they just going to let them go in like this? If something happens to the patriarch's remains, we'll be punished with death, some of the demon kings said, unwilling to give up. The sacred grounds are only so big. Unless the fire-eyed golden ape and the rest stay in the sacred grounds forever. Otherwise, once they come out, kill them on the spot. Some demon kings wanted to encourage everyone to enter the sacred grounds, while others didn't allow it. In the end, no demon kings dared to enter the sacred grounds. They just spread out and guarded the surroundings of the sacred grounds. Once they discovered Murong Yu and the rest, they would kill them immediately. At this moment, Murong Yu and the rest had already entered the sacred grounds. Golden Ape, is this really the sacred grounds? Your ancestor is buried here? Murong Yu asked cautiously as he vigilantly scanned his surroundings. In his opinion, if this was really the demon ancestor's tomb, then this place must be filled with danger. However, they didn't encounter any danger along the way. Moreover, because this was the sacred grounds of the extreme heaven realm, there weren't any demons. There were only ordinary wild beasts, such as tigers and leopards. They weren't a threat at all. The fire-eyed golden ape was also puzzled. This was his first time entering the sacred grounds. Previously, he had heard rumors that the sacred grounds were filled with danger and killing intent. Now that he thought about it, perhaps it was fake news because he didn't want the demons to barge into the sacred grounds. It was best if there was no danger. Along the way, Murong Yu and the rest gradually went deeper. However, the quieter the sacred grounds were, the more uneasy Murong Yu and the rest became. This silence was too eerie. It was terrifyingly quiet. Woof! Suddenly, the large black dog barked loudly. He suddenly turned to look at the forest beside him. His fur stood on end, and his eyes were filled with vigilance. Almost at the same time, Murong Yu also felt a chill in his heart. A sense of danger came from the side, making his hair stand on end. Meanwhile, the fire-eyed golden ape was even more straightforward. He swung his rod at the forest beside him. Boom! After an earth-shattering explosion, the forest in front of them was shattered by his rod, turning into a vacuum. However, there was nothing in front of them. Murong Yu and the rest's expressions changed slightly. At the same time, they seemed to have sensed something and turned to look at the other forest at the same time. That uneasy feeling rose in their hearts again. Who is it? Sneaking around. Get out here. The large black dog barked loudly. Then he swung his paw and shattered the forest in front of them. However, what shocked them was that there was still nothing in front of them. Are we being too suspicious? Murong Yu and the rest looked at each other, communicating with their eyes. However, just when they thought they were being paranoid and there was nothing nearby, that uneasy feeling appeared in their hearts again. Murong Yu and the rest looked at each other. Then, they turned around and attacked at the same time. Hong Long Long. A terrifying power exploded. Instantly, the forest around them was completely shattered, and a vacuum of about a few hundred miles appeared. However, they still did not discover anything. However, the feeling of having a knife at their backs did not disappear. An expert, an absolute expert. Murong Yu's expression instantly darkened. The feeling of having a knife at his back was extremely uncomfortable. It was a feeling that they had as elites. In other words, there was an extremely terrifying elite in their vicinity who was already staring at them. This elite was so powerful that they could not even detect him. Could this be the master of the extreme heaven realm? Murong Yu and the rest looked at each other and saw the terror in each other's eyes. With their strength, even a first-step immortal would not have such a feeling. This elite had not even appeared yet, but he had already shocked them. If this person was not pretending to be mysterious, then he was really an elite. Murong Yu stealthily contacted He Tu and Luo Shu. When he discovered that he hadn't lost contact with He Tu and Luo Shu, he let out a sigh of relief. As long as he could still contact He-Chu Luo Shu, he would not be afraid, even if an immortal came. Of course, if it was not necessary, Murong Yu did not want to be a coward and only know how to run away. After all, no one wanted to run away. However, if the enemy was too strong, running away was something that could not be helped. However, if the enemy was too strong, it seemed that Hichu Luoshu was not particularly safe. Murong Yu especially remembered that not long ago, after killing Ma Tianyun, the attack of Ma Tianyun's guardian could enter Hichu Luoshu and almost cripple the three of them. Woof! 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 The large black dog kept barking, very displeased. Murong Yu was annoyed and kicked the large black dog out. Pung! Woof! However, the moment the large black dog was kicked out, he let out a tragic cry. Then, the large black dog flew back at a speed faster than when he was kicked out. F***CK, which bastard sneak attacked Lord Heavenly Dog. The Heavenly Dog cursed, but his voice was filled with anger and killing intent. Murong Yu was furious, and just as he was about to scold the large black dog, he suddenly felt something and turned around. At this moment, the fire-eyed golden ape also turned around and looked ahead. What the hell is this? The fire-eyed golden ape screamed, and the golden fur on his body instantly stood up. Even Murong Yu felt his hair stand on end at this moment. In front, a demon was standing a few dozen meters away from them. This was an unknown demon, and this was not what made their hair stand on end. What made their hair stand on end was, when did this demonic beast appear? They did not feel it at all. Even if it teleported, there would be energy waves. With Murong Yu and the other's strength, if someone teleported over, it would definitely not be able to hide from them. However, this demonic beast seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Apart from that, what made their hair stand on end was that this demon actually did not have a head. A headless demon seemed to have appeared out of thin air behind them. Even though they were strong, they still felt their hair stand on end, as if there was a prickle on their backs. Woof, woof, woof. Lord Heavenly Dog is in so much pain. F***CK. Lord Heavenly Dog's bones are broken. This headless monster has such terrifying strength. The large black dog staggered over. As it turned out, one of his legs had been broken. Murong Yu was shocked. The large black dog's physical body was as strong as a celestial tool, and this headless demon could actually break the large black dog's leg in one move. So one could imagine how terrifying his strength was. Furthermore, Murong Yu had sensed that the headless demon was the one who'd made him feel uneasy. No head, no aura of life. This is obviously a corpse. Could it be that he has revived? The large black dog said. The more he spoke, the more terrified he felt. In the end, even his dog fur stood on end, looking extremely ferocious. Chapter 278. A headless demonic beast. A demonic beast that had been dead for an unknown amount of time. A demonic beast that didn't have any signs of life, yet gave Murong Yu and the others a dangerous feeling. The demon was headless and dead, but it was very dangerous. The man and the two beasts did not doubt the strength of this headless demon. For a moment, the three of them looked at the headless demon with a serious expression. The headless demon just stood there quietly. Because it did not have a head, its appearance could not be seen. But at this moment, Murong Yu and the others felt like they were being stared at by the headless demon. Yes, the headless demon seemed to be staring at them. It was very strange. As Murong Yu looked at the headless demon race, a familiar feeling surfaced in his heart. He especially remembered that when he entered the extreme heaven realm for the first time, Yu Mengxing and the others entered a historical site. At that time, there were similar mummies in that historical site. There were 8 lifeless mummies. However, unlike the headless demon, those mummies were humans, while the headless mummy in front of him was a demon, and its strength was much stronger than those mummies that Murong Yu had encountered. Although those mummies were strong, Murong Yu was not strong. But in the end, he killed one, and the other 7 were kept in the Hichu Luoshu world. At this time, they were still in the Hichu Luoshu. However, the headless corpse in front of him was far too powerful. It made Murong Yu feel an intense sense of danger. Reaching out his hand to Murong Yu, The tree of life in his body began to send out waves of life force that was like an ocean. Through Murong Yu's hand, it was transferred to Big Black's body. The large black dog's broken leg bones quickly healed after receiving the terrifying regenerative power of life. Not long after, it was completely recovered. This headless demon is very strong, and its physical body must be very terrifying. Be careful. Murong Yu withdrew his hand and looked at the headless demon. With the cosmic bow and the cosmic yin-yang cauldron, especially the yin-yang fire of the cosmic yin-yang cauldron, Murong Yu was not worried that he could not kill this headless demon. However, the headless demon clan was too powerful. This battle would definitely be extremely tragic. The fire-eyed golden ape licked his lips and said in a low voice, "With a headless demon race around, the sacred Emperor realm is safer than any formation." Legend had it that the Holy Land was fraught with danger. On the other hand, Murong Yu and the other two did not encounter any danger along the way. Originally, they thought that there was no danger in the Holy Land, but they didn't expect that it was just that they hadn't encountered it yet. "Kill!" Murong Yu roared and immediately used the Great Vajra Chakra Seal. A huge, mountain-like handprint appeared above the headless demon's head out of thin air. It contained the power to destroy the heavens and earth as it pressed down on the headless demon. Almost at the same time, the fire-eyed golden ape also smashed out with its rod. As for the large black dog, he merely slapped out with his paw. However, he did not dare to swallow it directly. The headless demon clan was very powerful. After he swallowed and refined it, his strength would undoubtedly increase. However, the headless demon clan was too strange. He did not dare to swallow it. If the headless demon clan exploded in his body, he would definitely be in for a tragedy. Seeing Murong Yu and the other two's attack, the headless demon clan sneered. The headless demon clan did not have a head at all. There was no way to see his expression at all. However, Murong Yu and the other two seemed to see him sneering. It was very strange and made one's hair stand on end. He punched out, hitting the fire-eyed golden ape's golden rod. Boom! After an earth-shattering explosion, the fire-eyed golden ape roared angrily. The golden rod in his hand was directly sent flying. At the same time, a huge force came, and the fire-eyed golden ape was instantly sent flying. A terrifying force exploded, causing the void and earth within a radius of 100 miles to shatter. It was very terrifying. Just one punch had shattered the fire-eyed golden ape's attack. However, the headless demon clan's attack did not stop. They saw that he was still standing in the same spot, not moving at all. He retracted his furry hand and punched out at the Great Vajra Chakra Seal that was suppressing him. With a loud bang, the Great Vajra Wheel Seal, which contained a terrifying amount of power, suddenly exploded. However, the headless demon clan's figure did not even sway. After that huge hand had shattered the Great Vajra Chakra Seal with one punch, it struck out fiercely in the void. It shattered a part of heaven and earth, and the dog paw that was swatting down towards the big black dog swiftly and violently attacked. The big black dog let out a tragic cry, and his entire body was instantly sent flying. 3 punches. Just 3 punches had shattered the attacks of Murong Yu and the other two. Even the fire-eyed golden ape and the big black dog were shaken and suffered light injuries. Only Murong Yu was not injured. Murong Yu's heart trembled. He once again overestimated the headless demon clan's strength. However, this was not a good thing. The stronger the headless demon clan was, the more dangerous it would be for them. A sense of danger suddenly flashed across Murong Yu's mind. At the same time, the headless demon clan suddenly turned around and seemed to be looking at Murong Yu. At the same time, the headless demon clan's furry hand had already shattered the void and was attacking Murong Yu at an extremely fast speed. Murong Yu turned pale with fright. His body swayed, and he used the army formula to increase his speed to the limit and retreated explosively. However, the headless demon clan's speed was extremely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, his huge fist had already arrived in front of Murong Yu. In fact, Although his fist had not landed on Murong-Yu's body, that terrifying power had already squeezed Murong-Yu's skin until it hurt. His pores were bleeding, and his bones were even creaking. Murong-Yu absolutely believed that if he was hit, even his physical body that was comparable to a celestial tool would definitely not be able to withstand such terrifying power and would explode on the spot. He might even be blasted into billions of pieces. At that time, even if the Tree of Life's recovery ability was billions of times stronger, it would not be able to save him. Bang! With a thought, Murong-Yu's body immediately erupted with a layer of purple light that enveloped him. At the same time, his body was covered by a scroll painting, and in the void above his head, there was an ancient cauldron that was spinning, and streaks of yin-yang fire fell down to protect him firmly. Boom! Just as Murong-Yu took out the Hichu Luo Shu, the yin-yang cauldron, and the purple ribbon holy robe, the Headless Demon Clan's huge fist was already attacking him, and he did not even have time to retaliate. Roar! The yin-yang fire was at the outermost layer of Murong-Yu's body, and it was the first to bear the brunt of the Headless Demon Clan's attack. The moment the Headless Demon Clan came into contact with the yin-yang fire, it immediately let out a painful roar. At this moment, Murong-Yu saw the Headless Demon Clan's huge hand, which was like a divine weapon, instantly burned to ashes. Even the Headless Demon Clan's huge hand seemed to be burned. The Headless Demon Clan roared in pain. A dazzling and terrifying divine light burst out from his fist and arm. The moment the divine light appeared, Murong-Yu saw that the Headless Demon Clan's fist had already broken through the yin-yang fire's obstruction and violently landed on the Hichu Luo Shu. After being attacked, the Hichu Luo Shu immediately exploded with a blinding divine light that enveloped Murong-Yu's entire body. At the same time, it seemed like the yin-yang fire was also a fatal threat to the Headless Demon Clan. The Headless Demon Clan's fist only landed on Hichu Luo Shu's body, but did not continue to attack forward. Instead, it retracted. Poof! Murong-Yu spat out a mouthful of blood, and his entire body was instantly sent flying thousands of miles away. In less than one round, Murong-Yu and the other two were already injured. They were no match for the Headless Demon Clan. The Headless Demon Clan's strength was already comparable to Ma Tianyan's guardian. How could they fight against an expert with such terrifying strength? However, what made Murong-Yu slightly relieved was that the yin-yang fire was still able to injure the Headless Demon Clan. Moreover, the Headless Demon Clan seemed to be afraid of the yin-yang fire. At the same time that Murong-Yu made his move, countless demon kings outside the sacred grounds suddenly felt a terrifying aura spreading out from the sacred grounds. The powerful aura was extremely terrifying, and it made their souls tremble. It was a powerful aura that they could not even think of resisting. Although no one knew what had happened in the sacred grounds, they all knew that Murong-Yu and the other two were in danger. There was an extremely powerful expert in the sacred grounds who was already fighting against them. What a terrifying aura. Even though it's been so long, I still feel a sense of fear, a demon king said in shock. In fact, it was not only this demon king who felt this way, but the other demon kings also felt the same. The fire-eyed golden ape and the others are dead for sure. After feeling this terrifying aura, all the demon kings could not help but heave a sigh of relief. They did not know if it was because of the death of Murong-Yu and the other two, or because the three of them were dead and could not obtain the demon ancestors' inheritance. Or maybe it was because they did not recklessly barge into the sacred grounds and did not encounter that terrifying expert. After sending Murong-Yu flying with a punch, the Headless Demon Clan stood in place and did not immediately make a move. It seemed to be thinking about something. Murong-Yu stood up and looked coldly at the Headless Demon Clan. At this moment, a strange and terrifying feeling appeared in his heart. He felt that the Headless Demon Clan seemed to be sizing him up. The feeling of having a knife at his back became even more intense. Suddenly, the Headless Demon Clan turned around abruptly and faced the direction of the big black dog. Then, he took a step forward and traversed a distance of a few thousand miles, appearing in front of the big black dog. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and quickly grabbed the big black dog. Woof, woof, woof. Damn you, the fire-eyed golden ape is your relative. Why are you looking for me instead of him? The big black dog was shocked and barked strangely. He used his speed and quickly flew into the distance. He was completely afraid of this headless demon clan. Even if the three of them worked together, they would not be a match for this headless demon clan. Damn dog, you're also a demonic beast. You're also his relative and even closer to him. Seeing the headless demon clan chasing after the big black dog, the fire-eyed golden ape could not help but laugh loudly. However, he and Morong, you were not slow. They had already used their speed to chase after the headless demon clan. Chapter 279. Rumble. The headless demon's huge hand covered a few hundred miles of the sky and came crashing down. A terrifying power was released, and the void collapsed bit by bit. Meanwhile, the large black dog continued to bark strangely as it flew forward at its fastest speed. At this moment, the large black dog did not have the courage to fight the headless demon. After all, the headless demon was much stronger than him. It killed the three of them in one round. How terrifying was its power! Woof, 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 you dog. Why are you always chasing me? The fire-eyed golden ape is also your relative, the large black dog said with tears streaming down his face as he ran. Morong Yu and the fire-eyed golden ape laughed heartily. The fire-eyed golden ape was especially happy. Big black dog, you've done too many shameful things. That's why this headless demonic beast is looking for you. Woof, woof, woof. If Lord Heavenly Dog is killed, the two of you won't be any better. Hurry up and kill this headless demon, the large black dog said anxiously. Damn dog, just run. It's best if you lure this headless demon far away, so that the two of us can explore the sacred land, the fire-eyed golden ape said with a loud laugh. However, although he said that, he did not stop attacking. He kept swinging his golden rod and smashing it at the headless demon. However, their speed was very fast. It was impossible for them to hit the headless demon. Moreover, even if they hit the headless demon, they would be smashed by the headless demon with a punch. For some reason, the headless demon was only targeting the large black dog. It was as if the large black dog had a grudge against him. Morong Yu had already taken out the yin-yang cauldron. It descended from the sky and attacked the headless demon. However, the headless demon also knew how terrifying the yin-yang fire in the yin-yang cauldron was. Whenever he saw the yin-yang cauldron coming over, he would blast out a violent force to send the yin-yang cauldron flying. He did not give the yin-yang cauldron a chance to get close to him. As such, even if the yin-yang fire in the yin-yang cauldron could burn the world, it could not hurt the headless demon. Large black dog, don't run out of the sacred land. There must be a large number of Yao Kings standing guard outside. If you run out, it will be no different from suicide. Morong Yu suddenly called out when he saw the large black dog flying out of the Holy Land. Woof, woof, woof. Why didn't you say so earlier? If they couldn't do it outside, could it be that they had to run into the depths of the Holy Land? That's also seeking death. The large black dog barked loudly, extremely displeased. Rumble. The headless demon slapped down with its huge hand, smashing a huge mountain into dust. Although it didn't directly hit the large black dog, the shockwaves from the attack still sent the large black dog flying. The large black dog was sent flying into the distance like a broken kite, and only stopped after crashing into a large mountain. F***CK. Can't you let me catch my breath? The large black dog had just steadied himself when he saw the headless demon still chasing after him. Immediately, he let out a strange cry in fright. Then, he soared into the air and continued to fly into the distance. We can't go on like this. We can't do anything to the headless demon at all. After the yin-yang cauldron was sent flying again, Morong Yu instantly became anxious. Although it seemed that the headless demon wouldn't catch up to the large black dog now. But as time passed, the large black dog would become more and more dangerous. Morong, you didn't want to see the large black dog killed, either. We can only do this now. Morong Yu frowned slightly. Then, he disappeared from where he stood. At the same time, the fire-eyed golden ape also disappeared. Schwa! As the large black dog was flying, he suddenly realized that a large hand had appeared in the void above his head and was grabbing at him. The large black dog was shocked. Instinctively, he slapped with his paw. At the same time, he barked strangely. Why is there another one? Dead. I'm dead for sure now. Large black dog, resist. It's me. Morong Yu's voice sounded. The large black dog was instantly stunned. At the same time, he canceled his attack. With a schwa sound, Morong Yu's large hand directly grabbed the large black dog. Then, the large black dog disappeared. The headless demon was enraged, and a muffled sound came from his chest. Then he reached out with his large hand, directly breaking through the void and entering into the depths of the void. He quickly grabbed at the location where the large black dog had disappeared. After Morong Yu grabbed the large black dog like Hichu Luo Shu, he disappeared from where he was with a thought. Just as Hichu Luo Shu disappeared, the headless demon's large hand appeared in the void where Hichu Luo Shu was previously. The headless demon's large hand grabbed fiercely. A terrifying power suddenly exploded. Boom! After a shocking explosion, the void there was directly exploded. The terrifying power exploded. Instantly, the void within 1,000 miles collapsed. However, Morong Yu and the others were nowhere to be seen. Seeing that the large black dog had actually disappeared, the headless demon flew into a rage. Incomparably muffled roars continuously sounded from his chest. The headless demon began to unleash his divine might. He continuously released waves of terrifying power. Heaven and earth collapsed. The void collapsed and the earth sank. On the other side of the Holy Land, Hichu Luo Shu was hidden in the void. Morong Yu and the other two inside Hichu Luo Shu were panting heavily. Fortunately, I left many formations here. Otherwise, we would have to leave this Holy Land. Morong Yu wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said, "This headless demon was simply way too terrifying. Its strength was definitely comparable to that of Ma Tian Yun's guardian. With a punch, heaven and earth collapsed. It directly sent Morong Yu and the others flying and injured them. If not for the fact that it only targeted the large black dog, and that the large black dog's speed was not slow, Morong Yu and the others would have been doomed. Of course, it was also because Morong Yu had the divine item Hichu Luo Shu. Otherwise, if it was anyone else who came here, they would have no way to survive. Even a half-step immortal would not be able to easily kill this headless demon. After all, this monster was already a corpse. Moreover, its corpse was extremely powerful. Even half-step immortal would not be able to kill it. Because Morong Yu and the others had disappeared into thin air, the headless demon was extremely furious. It directly shattered the void. After a long time, the terrifying fluctuations gradually dissipated. The headless demon must have returned after venting its anger. Let's go to the heavenly demon god's tomb. Morong Yu pondered for a moment. Then, he walked towards the center of the Holy Land. However, they did not leave Hichu Luo Shu. The heavenly demon god's tomb should be up ahead. Through Hichu Luo Shu, Morong Yu and the others saw a gigantic tomb that was 500 kilometers tall. With such a gigantic tomb erected in the Holy Land, other than the heavenly demon god's tomb, they could not think of anyone else buried here. Woof F *CK. That headless demon is at the top of the tomb. The large black dog suddenly barked and said angrily. Morong Yu and the fiery-eyed golden ape looked at the top of the tomb. Then, they saw the headless demon standing there motionlessly. It's indeed the demon that guards the heavenly demon god's tomb. Ignore him. We are in Hichu Luo Shu. As long as we don't go out, he won't discover us. Let's see if there's an entrance to the heavenly demon god's tomb. As they spoke, Morong Yu had already controlled Hichu Luo Shu to slowly approach the heavenly demon god's tomb. Woof! He's looking over. The large black dog suddenly barked. His fur instantly stood on end, making him look extremely ferocious. Murong Yu and the fiery-eyed golden ape were alarmed as they looked over. They realized that the headless demon that was standing at the top of the tomb had already turned around and was facing them. It sent chills down their spines. In fact, Murong Yu could vaguely see the gaze of the headless demon. It made him break out into a cold sweat. Immediately, Murong Yu steadied Hichu Luo Shu and stopped moving. The headless demon continued staring at Murong Yu. After a long while, he turned his head back. What's the origins of this headless demon? It can even discover Hichu Luo Shu that's hidden in the void? Murong Yu was alarmed. First, Dao Protector Ma Tianyun had directly attacked Hichu Luo Shu. Now, the headless demon had discovered Hichu Luo Shu that was hidden in the void. This shattered Murong Yu's belief that Hichu Luo Shu was absolutely safe. Hiding in Hichu Luo Shu was not absolutely safe. Perhaps it had to do with his strength. Now, he was not strong enough, so he was unable to use Hichu Luo Shu's true strength. Therefore, people stronger than him could sense Hichu Luo Shu's existence. If he was strong enough, these people might not have discovered Hichu Luo Shu's existence. At the end of the day, it had to do with Murong Yu's lack of strength. Without strength, even a peerless divine item would not be able to unleash its full strength. The headless demon could vaguely sense Hichu Luo Shu's existence. As such, Murong Yu's attempt to find the entrance to the tomb near the tomb fell through. However, to leave the sacred land just like that, it was impossible. They had gone to great lengths to enter the tomb. They were just one step away from entering the tomb. If they were to leave just like that, they would feel extremely indignant. I can only take it slow, Murong Yu thought gloomily. He began to slowly move Hichu Luo Shu. As he was afraid of being discovered by the headless demon, Murong Yu not only moved slowly, but he also stopped after moving a certain distance. As a result, it took him half a month to walk around the huge tomb. There's no entrance? How is that possible? After circling the tomb once, they failed to discover the entrance to the tomb. This left them greatly traumatized. Could it be hidden by an array formation or restriction? Murong Yu pondered. That headless demon has been standing at the top of the tomb without leaving. Could the entrance to the tomb be there? The fire-eyed golden ape suddenly said. Chapter 280. At the top of the Heaven Fei God's tomb, the extremely powerful headless Fei was still standing in its original spot. Its body was ramrod straight, like a loyal guard protecting the Heaven Fei God's tomb. At this moment, after a long period of time, the cautious Murong Yu finally controlled the Hichu Luo Shu to appear near the headless Fei. However, he had already hidden in the void for a total of 3 days. In the Hichu Luo Shu world, Murong Yu, the large black dog, and the fire-eyed golden ape stared intently at the headless Fei outside through the Hichu Luo Shu. He shouldn't have discovered us, right? Woof. I really want to eat him. The large black dog barked unhappily. Ever since they appeared here 3 days ago, the headless Fei seemed to have discovered them. It turned around and faced their direction. The headless Fei's actions made Murong Yu even more cautious. He did not dare to make any sudden movements. Who knew if an expert at this level could attack the Hichu Luo Shu? With Murong Yu's current strength, he was unable to activate the Hichu Luo Shu to a greater extent. If the Hichu Luo Shu was attacked, the terrifying power might kill many members of the chaos. Hence, he had to maintain his vigilance at all times. Otherwise, the consequences would be unpredictable. Are we being too careful? This bastard doesn't even have a head, and he's already dead. He can't possibly see us, right? The fire-eyed golden ape said hesitantly. Why don't you go out and try to see if he can discover you? The large black dog said with a sinister smile. Scram! The fire-eyed golden ape was enraged and almost smashed down with its staff. Don't cause trouble. If we alarm the headless Fei, all our previous efforts will be for naught, Murong Yu said with a frown. Immediately, the fire-eyed golden ape and the large black dog fell silent. The headless Fei's body stood ramrod straight at the top of the tomb. and behind him was something that resembled a door. If he was not wrong, this door should be the entrance to the Heaven Fae God's tomb. However, the headless demon tribe's hand was still here. Even though Murong Yu and the others had discovered the door, they could not enter it, unless the headless demon left this place. Otherwise, as soon as Murong Yu moved the Hichu Luo Shu, the headless demon race would discover it. At that time, Murong Yu would be attacked by the giant headless demon. Big Black Dog, I saw that your speed was pretty good just now. Why don't you go out and lure this headless demon away? Murong Yu turned to look at the Big Black Dog and said with a smile. The fire-eyed golden ape's eyes instantly lit up, and it looked at the large black dog with a hopeful expression. Woof, woof, woof. The large black dog started to bark furiously, and his sturdy dog head bobbed up and down like a rattle drum. F***CKU, why don't you two go out and lure him away? The large black dog was extremely displeased, and there was an ominous glint in his eyes as he glared at Murong Yu and the woman. I'm not fast enough, the fire-eyed golden ape immediately said. I can lure the headless demon away, but the moment I leave, he too and Luo Shu will follow me. Even if I let you out, you will not be able to escape. Can you guarantee that you can enter the Heaven Fae God's tomb? Murong Yu said in a deep voice. The large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape fell silent. The large black dog opened his mouth, and just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by Murong Yu. You saw it as well. Large black dog, you are the easiest to attract the headless demon's aggro. If you appear, you will definitely be able to lure this headless demon away. As for the two of us, I'm afraid we won't be able to lure him away. Woof, woof, woof. You are discriminating against us. The large black dog was extremely displeased as he glared at Murong Yu and the woman. He was unwilling to go out even if he was beaten to death. The scene of him being chased by the headless demon was still extremely clear in his mind. The headless demon's strength had already cast a shadow over him. If only those demon monarchs could enter. Murong Yu sighed. In fact, he was unsure if the door was really the entrance to the Heaven Fae God's tomb. And most importantly, even if the headless demon was lured away, he could still charge into the Heaven Fae God's tomb once he reacted. The Heaven Fae God's tomb was at least the tomb of an immortal emperor. It could even be the tomb of a god. What kind of existence was a god? Gods were existences that towered above immortals. The relationship between gods and immortals was similar to the relationship between immortals and mortals. No one knew if there was any danger inside the Heaven Fae God's tomb. Once the space inside was sealed, they would not be able to enter the Hichu Luo Shu. When the time came, they would be trapped inside by the headless demon, and all they could do was wait for death. Therefore, even if someone lured the headless demon away, it would be useless. They might even die as a result. In that case, they might as well not enter. However, they were right in front of the Heaven Fae God's tomb. It was very likely the tomb of a god, an existence even higher than an immortal tomb. Who knew if there were divine artifacts inside? Divine artifacts were Dharma treasures used by gods. They could definitely instantly kill immortals. We can only move slowly. Murong Yu was depressed. Therefore, when they were about half a kilometer away from the door behind the headless demon, Murong Yu began to slowly move the Hichu Luo Shu. However, a month had already passed in the blink of an eye. After a full month, Murong Yu and company had only moved half a kilometer. In such a long period of time, even a snail would have crawled more than half a kilometer. Furthermore, during this process, Murong Yu's focus was raised to an extreme. While moving the Hichu Luo Shu, he also paid attention to the headless demon. After a month, Murong Yu nearly collapsed from exhaustion. I'm just one step away from entering the door, but it will still take some time. Murong Yu took a deep breath before carefully moving the Hichu Luo Shu. However, at the instant he moved, Murong Yu sensed that the Hichu Luo Shu had been obstructed. Damn it, there's a restriction. Murong Yu roared. At that moment, the void in front of the Heaven Fae God's door began to ripple. Roar! The headless demon instantly discovered it. An earth-shattering roar came from his chest. At the same time, a terrifying strength erupted from his body. The headless demon's huge hand reached out to grab the Hichu Luo Shu. It's over. Murong Yu's face turned pale. After a month of hard work, he had been obstructed by a tiny restriction. With a thought, Murong Yu was just about to leave, but at that moment he had no choice but to leave despite his extreme reluctance. After all, his life was more important. However, just as he was about to teleport away, a powerful suction came from behind the door. Following that, Murong Yu and company saw the scenery in front of them change. Roar! At the critical moment, they heard the furious roar of the headless demon. They also saw the terrifying strength of the headless demon shattering the void near the door. The scenery in front of them changed, and in the next instant, the headless demon disappeared from their sight. They had entered an unfamiliar space. "Where is this?" the large black dog exclaimed. At the same time, Murong Yu and the fire-eyed golden ape could clearly see what was in front of them. It was a massive hall. From a Hichu Luo Shu, they could see that the hall was nearly 50 kilometers wide. It was truly terrifying. Could this be the Heaven Fei God's tomb? "Let's go out and take a look," the fire-eyed golden ape said excitedly. It might be the Heaven Fei God's tomb. I never expected the Heaven Fei God's tomb to be another space. Murong Yu shook his head. With a thought, the three of them appeared in the hall. "Be careful. This is the Heaven Fei God's tomb after all. There might be some danger," Murong Yu exhorted before sizing up the hall. The hall appeared very plain. It did not match the tomb of an immortal emperor, much less the tomb of a god. Furthermore, the entire hall was empty. There was nothing. "Woof! Golden-furred ape, why is your portrait imprinted here?" The large black dog suddenly looked at the walls of the hall and barked. The fire-eyed golden ape rolled his eyes. It was impossible. However, out of curiosity, he still approached. He was immediately stunned when he saw it. On the extremely tall walls were murals, and the main character in the murals was none other than the fire-eyed golden ape. It was a demon that looked identical to the fire-eyed golden ape in front of them. They looked identical, but it was definitely not the fire-eyed golden ape in front of them. This was because the Heaven Fei God's tomb had existed for an unknown period of time. Clearly, the murals here had a long history. One of the walls of the hall was filled with lifelike murals, and the murals on the wall were roughly divided into 3 sections. Murong Yu walked over and took a look. This was the story of the fire-eyed golden ape. The murals depicted the fire-eyed golden ape from the moment it was born. Every powerful enemy, every soul-stirring battle, and every life and death situation was presented before Murong Yu and the other two. Upon seeing the murals, Murong Yu and company seemed to see moving portraits appear in front of them. It was as though they were seeing the fire-eyed golden ape's growth after experiencing countless hardships. This fire-eyed golden ape is the main character of the murals, and this should be the Heaven Fei God's tomb. That also means that the Heaven Fei God might be the fire-eyed golden ape's ancestor? If that's the case, the fire-eyed golden ape might very well have obtained the Heaven Fei God's heritage. This thought suddenly popped into Murong Yu's mind. At the same time, he looked at the fire-eyed golden ape beside him and realized that it was also looking excited. Clearly, it had the same guess. This is Woof. This fire-eyed golden ape is too terrifying. It's fighting more than 10,000 famed monarchs alone. The black dog's exclamation sounded. Murong Yu and the fire-eyed golden ape walked over and saw that the mural was the second to last mural in the first section. In the mural, the fire-eyed golden ape was covered in resplendent golden light. It was bathed in blood and looked like a god. And beside it were countless famed monarchs. Beneath the fire-eyed golden ape's feet were corpses without any signs of life. Just as the black dog said, the fire-eyed golden ape was fighting 10,000 alone. It was an earth-shattering battle with corpses strewn everywhere. Chapter 281. The heavenly demon god started out as an ordinary demon in the cultivation world and gradually grew stronger. In the second last mural of the first section, the heavenly demon god was bathed in blood. He was like a demon god fighting against 10,000 alone. In reality, the heavenly demon god faced more than 10,000 experts. Apart from those demon experts, there were also many human cultivators. Countless cultivators, almost all of them at the Demon King level. Looking at the mural, Murong Yu's group of 3 could imagine how terrifying and tragic the battle back then was. The heavens fell and the earth cracked, the earth sank, and blood flowed like a river. Countless experts fell, killed by the heavenly demon god. The heavenly demon god became more terrifying as he grew stronger. In the end, after killing countless experts, they reached the last mural. There was no battle in the last mural. The young heavenly demon god stood at the peak of a mountain. Countless demon kings and even cultivators prostrated themselves at the foot of the mountain, expressing their submission. The heavenly demon god made all the experts in this world submit with his strength alone. He beat them until they submitted and unified this world. This kind of life is hot-blooded. This kind of person is a real man. Murong Yu and the other 2 felt their blood boiling as they watched the heavenly demon god go from being a nameless little demon clan to experiencing all sorts of life and death battles, to finally unifying this world with his absolute strength. Which cultivator, especially male cultivator, did not want to have absolute strength? Which one did not want to unify this world like the heavenly demon god? However, who could do it? Looking at the heavenly demon god, Murong Yu felt ashamed of his inferiority, not only in terms of strength, but in other aspects as well. The heavenly demon god grew from a small demon to a super expert who unified a world. How many dangers did he encounter along the way? Just the dangers outlined in the murals were enough to make Murong Yu and company shudder. Moreover, the heavenly demon god's true experiences were definitely not limited to the murals. These murals were probably just the tip of the iceberg of the heavenly demon god's experiences. In the last mural of the first section, after the heavenly demon god unified his world, he did not stay in this world for long. He then tore through the void and ascended to the heavenly realm. Originally, Murong Yu thought that after an outstanding expert like the heavenly demon god ascended to the heaven realm, he would be able to soar into the sky. However, when he saw the second part of the mural, which was the part of the immortal world, Murong Yu felt depressed. It was almost exactly the same as the first part. Fighting, bathing in blood, risking his life, barely surviving. In fact, the heavenly monster god's experiences in the world of immortals were even more soul-stirring and dangerous. In the murals, Murong Yu saw that many heavenly demon gods were on the brink of death. A big shot of the immortal world. He looked at the murals one by one. After seeing the heavenly demon god ascend, the battle never stopped. At the same time, as the heavenly demon god grew stronger, his enemies grew stronger as well. The entire world was his enemy. Murong Yu was speechless. This fire-eyed, golden, ape heaven demon god was an even more troublesome existence than him. Wherever he went, battles would break out, and rivers of blood would flow. No, this doesn't seem to be the heavenly demon god's will. He seems to be forced. As he read, Murong Yu suddenly realized that something was amiss. Although the heavenly demon god was powerful, he couldn't be causing trouble all the time. All of this seemed to be the result of someone targeting him and wanting to eliminate him. The heavenly demon god was forced to fight all of this. He was truly resisting. Just what did the heavenly demon god do? Murong Yu muttered to himself. He actually provoked the immortal realm to take action and eliminate him. Clearly, the heavyweights of the immortal world didn't want the heavenly demon god to continue growing stronger. Perhaps the heavenly demon god's potential was enough to threaten them? Perhaps the heavenly demon god had some secret? Nothing was known. In the end, the heavenly demon god fought his way to the peak of the immortal world, stepping over countless corpses. On this day, the heavenly demon god battled the heavyweights of the immortal world. This battle was extremely difficult. He faced off against countless long-established heavyweights of the immortal world and unfathomable existences of the immortal emperor level. But the heavenly demon god wasn't afraid at all. This battle was earth-shattering. Even the immortal world side was destroyed. The heavenly demon god's powerful strength finally erupted. Although his opponents were all long-established immortal emperors, the heavenly demon god still managed to slaughter them all, causing rivers of blood to flow. In the end, the heavenly demon god won a Pyrrhic victory. Countless immortal emperors were killed and perished. In the end, after killing many immortal emperors, the heavenly demon god became more and more courageous as he fought and finally left safely. From then on, the heavenly demon god became an immortal emperor whose name shook the immortal world. He was the heavenly demon emperor. At this point, the heavenly demon emperor had reached a certain level of power. Although the heavyweights of the immortal world wanted nothing more than to eliminate him, they were powerless to do so. The murals of the immortal world ended here. The heavenly demon god had finally become the heavenly demon emperor, a super heavyweight who presided over the immortal world. He was different from the genius disciples of other large sects who cultivated to the immortal emperor level. Along the way, the heavenly demon god had almost no time to properly cultivate. On this path, he was always alone. One person, one step at a time, he had reached the heavenly demon emperor level. In the face of countless heavyweights' attempts to kill him, he had still relied on his tenacious will to grow stronger. In the end, his name had shaken the immortal world, and he had carved out a place for himself in the immortal world. Why did the heavyweights of the immortal world want to kill the heavenly demon god? And what secrets did the heavenly demon god have? Moron, you didn't know. This was because the murals of the heavenly demon god didn't contain any information about this. However, no matter what, the heavenly demon god had relied on his own strength and his own two hands to carve out a place for himself. This kind of person was a true powerhouse. Moron, you couldn't help but feel deep veneration for him. He felt great reverence for the heavenly demon god. Meanwhile, the fire-eyed golden ape beside Moron, you also had a look of reverence on his face. After all, the heavenly demon god was also a fire-eyed golden ape. He was a member of the same generation as him. In fact, even the large black dog that had been clamoring to eat the heavenly demon god's corpse fell silent. They only felt respect for the heavenly demon god. They didn't have any thoughts of blasphemy. How did such a powerhouse die? In the immortal realm, the heavenly demon god is practically invincible. How did he die? Moron, you arrived at the third mural with confusion and doubt. There was only one mural in the third mural. The heavenly demon god was still bathed in blood. Countless corpses lay at his feet. Waves of killing intent seemed to surge through the mural. In fact, Moron, you could even smell the stench of blood coming from it. These people are even more powerful than the heavyweights of the immortal realm. Could it be that the heavenly demon god has already ascended to the celestial realm? Moron, you was stunned. The celestial realm wasn't the highest plane of existence. Above the celestial realm was the celestial realm. The celestial realm was the final destination of all cultivators. That was the world of gods. The heavenly demon god had already become a god. The corpses at his feet were all gods. The heavenly demon god's strength was already enough to easily slay gods. Moron Yu's expression changed to one of shock. He continued to stare at the mural. Although the heavenly demon god was still as powerful and invincible as ever in the face of these incomparably powerful gods. But he also saw that he was injured. Suddenly, a large hand in the void shattered the sky and rapidly attacked the heavenly demon god. At that moment, Moron Yu's pupil shrank. He seemed to sense the terror of that large hand from the mural. That monstrous and terrifying aura almost suffocated Moron Yu. Even the heavenly demon god's expression in the mural turned grave. The attacker was definitely a celestial realm expert. Even the heavenly demon god couldn't underestimate an expert. In the mural, the heavenly demon god soared into the sky and met the large hand in the void. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. In the next mural, the heavenly demon god had just charged forward when he was quickly repelled. In the mural, the heavenly demon god's chest had a large hole in it. That large hand had shattered his heart in one blow. The heavenly demon god was gravely injured. He wasn't a match for the celestial realm expert at all. Moronyu continued reading. Panic appeared on the heavenly demon god's face. This was the first time Moronyu had seen the heavenly demon god panic. Heavily injured, the heavenly demon god tore through the void with one hand and fled. However, the large hand still didn't want to let the heavenly demon god go. It chased him into the void, intent on killing him. The mural came to an abrupt end. There was nothing else. The mural had ended. Had the heavenly demon god died, just like that? Moronyu's heart was heavy. Although he didn't have much to do with the heavenly demon god, he still respected the heavenly demon god out of respect. This was especially true when the heavenly demon god was a grassroots expert. He'd ascended step by step until he'd ascended to the celestial realm. Every bit of his strength had been gained by stepping over countless corpses and bathing in blood countless times. Only an expert like that deserved respect. It was a very regrettable thing for such a powerhouse to fall. After all, the heavenly demon god wasn't some great villain. Although he'd killed many people, this was the law of survival in this world. Moreover, those people had all wanted to kill the heavenly demon god. Although the heavenly demon god had killed many people, most of them were just retaliation. Did the heavenly demon god die just like that? The fiery-eyed golden ape's heart was heavy. After all, the heavenly demon god was his ancestor. Originally, he was very happy to have such a powerful ancestor. However, in the end, he realized that his ancestor had been killed. Naturally, he was unwilling and angry. The heavenly demon god shouldn't have been killed by that person. Otherwise, where would the heavenly demon god's tomb come from? Moronyu thought for a moment and said in a low voice, "The heavenly demon god's tomb was here." This was a mortal world. The heavenly demon god was already a god back then. Why would his tomb be in the extreme heaven realm? And what was the extreme heaven realm? What's up with the realm lord of the extreme heaven realm? Many doubts appeared in Morongyu's mind. He couldn't get rid of them. Chapter 282. The Heavenly Demon God's Rise was a bloodbath. Along the way, countless experts wanted to kill the Heavenly Demon God. But these enemies, whether they were weak cultivators from the cultivation world, immortal world giants, or celestial realm experts, all became stepping stones for the Heavenly Demon God to reach the peak. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Demon God still fell in the end. His rise was too sudden, and his fall was too strange. There were many conspiracies involved. Otherwise, why would so many giants want to kill the Heavenly Demon God? Could it be that the Heavenly Demon God really did something that angered the heavens? As long as the Heavenly Demon God didn't want to destroy the world, there wouldn't be so many giants who wanted to kill him. In the end, even the two Celestial Realm giants made a move. It was the Celestial Realm giant who killed the Heavenly Demon God. But all of this was like a mystery. The murals only briefly depicted the most important and soul-stirring battle of the Heavenly Demon God's life. As for the reason, no one knew. Moronyu only felt that it was a great pity that such an expert had fallen just like that. However, what made Moronyu depressed was that he seemed to have a special affinity with these fallen experts. During his first trial, Moronyu had found the golden skeleton in the depths of the Demon Mountain's forbidden grounds. At the same time, he had found the weapon formula of the 9 syllables, the cosmic bow, the skyquake arrow, and so on. Not long ago, Moronyu had met immortal Emperor Juxian, and now there was a heavenly demon god. These people's experiences were almost the same. They were at least immortal emperors, and all of them had been hunted down and killed in the cultivation world. Do I really have a special affinity with these people? Moronyu thought helplessly. The weakest of these people was an immortal emperor. To be hunted down and killed meant that their enemies were very strong. Although Moronyu had benefited from them, at the same time, he had gained many potential enemies. The golden skeleton's enemies, immortal Emperor Zhu Xian's enemies, and even the heavenly demon god's enemies. As long as Murong Yu exposed something related to these super experts in the immortal world, they would probably hunt him down. This wasn't a good thing. In fact, sometimes it might not be a good thing to obtain the inheritance of others. After looking at the murals, Murong Yu and the other two fell into deep thought. Not long after, Murong Yu began to size up the hall. The entire hall was extremely spacious. Other than these murals, there was nothing else. Moreover, the materials used to construct the Great Hall were only ordinary materials that were of no value. However, there was a small door at the back of the main hall, which should lead to another main hall. Let's go and take a look at the back. With that, Murong Yu strode towards a small door. Meanwhile, the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape also quickly walked over, especially the fire-eyed golden ape, who was especially passionate. The heavenly demon god was a fire-eyed golden ape just like him. Furthermore, there was a deity-level existence. Although he had already fallen, he was still very powerful. If he could obtain his inheritance, would he, the fire-eyed golden ape, be able to reach the heavenly demon god realm one day? Or even stronger, the fire-eyed golden ape was very respectful to this old ancestor. However, this did not mean that he did not want to obtain the heavenly demon god's inheritance. Hence, his speed was extremely fast. He actually surpassed Murong Yu and was the first to enter the back of the main hall. After passing through the door, there was another main hall behind the main hall. However, this main hall was very small. It was about the same size as a palace in the mortal world. The entire main hall was also empty apart from a high platform at the back of the main hall. However, there was a wooden coffin placed on a high platform. The heavenly demon god's corpse. Seeing this ordinary wooden coffin, Murong Yu and the other two's breathing instantly quickened. Although they did not have any thoughts about the heavenly demon god, they would still be very excited to see this legendary heavenly demon god. However, was the heavenly fey god really inside such an ordinary and featureless coffin? No matter what, the heavenly demon god was still a god, an existence that surpassed immortals. Even if he had been killed, he should not be so miserable, right? Only using an ordinary coffin to bury himself. Let's go take a look. The fire-eyed golden ape suppressed the excitement in his heart and was the first to leap onto the high platform. Be careful, Murong Yu warned. He secretly took out the Hichu Luo Shu. The moment something went wrong, he would immediately enter the Hichu Luo Shu and leave this place instantly. The coffin was sealed and nothing could be seen inside the coffin. It was even more impossible to see whether Murong Yu had buried the heavenly demon god. I'm going to open the coffin. The fire-eyed golden ape took a deep breath. Then, he looked at Murong Yu and the large black dog with a serious expression. Murong Yu nodded. He had already raised his power to the maximum. The moment he realized something was wrong, he would immediately flee this place. Grand Ancestor, I am sorry to disturb your peaceful sleep. The fire-eyed golden ape muttered in his mind. Then, he slowly placed his hands on the coffin lid. Finally, he gritted his teeth and forcefully pushed open the coffin lid. Unlike what he had imagined, the coffin lid was pushed open without much effort. When the coffin lid was slowly pushed open, the fire-eyed golden ape and even Murong Yu and the large black dog could not help but approach and look inside the coffin. Woof, woof, woof. There's nothing inside. When they saw the empty coffin, Murong Yu and the others could not help but be stunned. Meanwhile, the large black dog was already cursing loudly. I knew it. The heavenly demon god could not have been buried in this coffin. Not seeing the heavenly demon god in the coffin, Murong Yu could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. However, he was also a little disappointed. After all, this was the heavenly demon god's tomb. However, the heavenly demon god was not buried here. In other words, this was not the heavenly demon god's tomb at all. However, if this was not the heavenly demon god's tomb, then what was with the murals outside? If the heavenly demon god was not buried here, then where was he? Apart from this, Moron, you could not find any other place. Could it be that the heavenly demon god's corpse did not exist? Was this only his cenotaph? It could not even be considered a cenotaph? Moron, you and the others looked disappointed. It did not matter if there was any danger here, as long as this was really the heavenly demon god's coffin. However, there was nothing here. What about them? Shouldn't they be disappointed? Especially the fiery-eyed golden ape. This fellow was even more disappointed. Originally, he was filled with joy, thinking that he could see the remains of his ancestor and even obtain the heavenly demon god's inheritance. However, from the looks of it now, everything was just a dream. Sighing, the disappointed trio was about to leave. However, at this moment, an inexplicable force suddenly erupted from the coffin, instantly enveloping Murong Yu and the others. The trio turned pale with fright. Just as they were about to react, they were shocked to see the terrifying force wrap around them and sweep them into the coffin. It was different from what they had seen. The seemingly small coffin seemed to have another space. All three of them had entered the coffin, and it did not feel squeezed. With a loud bang, the coffin's lid automatically closed. Following that, the trio felt their vision turn black. When they could see again, they were shocked to find that they had appeared in another strange space. It was like a room. The space was not big, but there were no furnishings either. However, Murong, you could vaguely feel a very obscure but definitely powerful force fluctuating in this space. Heavenly demon god. The large black dog suddenly jumped up, all the black fur on his body standing on end. He looked ahead with a terrified expression. In the empty space in front of them, a fiery-eyed golden ape was sitting cross-legged, his entire body emitting brilliant golden light. He was cultivating with his eyes closed. It was the same as the fiery-eyed golden ape, but it was much stronger. The most shocking thing was that this fiery-eyed golden ape, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, had a huge transparent hole in his chest. At this moment, fresh blood was still flowing around the wound. It seemed that this wound had appeared not long ago, and the blood had yet to coagulate. This fiery-eyed golden ape must be that heavenly demon god. From the mural, the fiery-eyed golden ape's heart was also blasted apart by that giant from the heaven realm. Perhaps it was because of this that the heavenly demon god had fallen. The heavenly demon god is not dead. Murong Yu and the others were shocked because they did not feel the aura of death from the heavenly demon god. However, there was no aura of life. The heavenly demon god should be dead already, right? Murong Yu and the others stood where they were, not daring to move as they looked at each other. Golden-furred ape, you are the descendant of the heavenly demon god. Go up and take a look. The large black dog's fur stood on end as he poked the fiery-eyed golden ape. The fiery-eyed golden ape did not refute this time. He only looked at the heavenly demon god and gritted his teeth. I'll go up and take a look. As he spoke, the fiery-eyed golden ape was about to step forward. Be careful, Murong Yu warned. I'm his descendant. Even if the heavenly demon god is not dead, he shouldn't kill me, right? The fiery-eyed golden ape smiled, but his voice was trembling. Anyone who faced a godlike existence, even if it was already dead, would be lying if they said they were not afraid. Moreover, the gap between them and this kind of elite was really too big. In the eyes of the heavenly demon god, Murong Yu and the others could not even be considered ants. If the heavenly demon god was not dead and they disturbed him, would he blow them to death? Perhaps the heavenly demon god would not attack them because they were all fiery-eyed golden apes. However, Murong Yu and the large black dog were not fiery-eyed golden apes. Of course, this was all assuming that the heavenly demon god was not dead. However, if the heavenly demon god was dead, how could his corpse be desecrated? For example, the golden skeleton in the Demon Mountain Forbidden Land had been a celestial emperor-level existence. It had almost been eroded, yet it still possessed such great power. However, the heavenly demon god's corpse was still intact. Moreover, he was millions of times more powerful than a celestial emperor. Pung! The fiery-eyed golden ape took a step forward, still approaching the heavenly demon god. He was only 5 steps away from the heavenly demon god. The heavenly demon god took a deep breath and took another step forward. However, at this moment, be careful. Murong Yu, who had been staring intently at the heavenly demon god, suddenly saw that the heavenly demon god's eyes, which had been tightly shut, suddenly opened when the fiery-eyed golden ape took a second step. Chapter 283. A Zombie. When Murong Yu saw the heavenly demon god open his eyes, the fire-eyed golden ape and a large black dog also saw it. As for the large black dog, he was so frightened that his eyes rolled back. His body trembled, and he turned to flee. If not for the fact that there was no way out of this room, the large black dog would probably have fled long ago. Two rays of golden light shot out from the heavenly demon god's eyes, illuminating the entire room. At the same time, the heavenly demon god suddenly raised his hand and pointed at the fire-eyed golden ape's forehead. Actually, when he saw the heavenly demon god open his eyes, the fire-eyed golden ape was also frightened half to death. Just as he was about to retreat, he saw the heavenly demon god's finger pointing at him. The fire-eyed golden ape was almost scared to death. There was no time to think at all. He wanted to retreat immediately. However, at this time, there was a terrifying force binding him. The heavenly demon god's finger was also extremely fast, and before he could react, it had already pointed at his forehead. I'm finished. The fire-eyed golden ape only had time to think this. At the same time, Murong Yu and a large black dog had the same thought as the fire-eyed golden ape. After all, this was the heavenly demon god, an existence that surpassed immortal. Such an existence could even blow them to smithereens with a breath. With a finger pointing at the fire-eyed golden ape's forehead, even if the fire-eyed golden ape's strength was tens of thousands of times stronger, he was still no match for the heavenly demon god. However, what puzzled Murong Yu and a large black dog was that the fire-eyed golden ape's forehead did not turn into ashes after the heavenly demon god pointed at it. Something strange. Murong Yu stared at the fire-eyed golden ape and the heavenly demon god, sizing them up. At this time, the fire-eyed golden ape's originally shocked expression had already disappeared. On the contrary, his expression had already calmed down, and even his eyes were closed. Woof! What's going on? The golden-furred ape isn't dead? The large black dog shook his head, and his dog eyes revealed a puzzled expression as he looked at the fire-eyed golden ape. Large black dog, be quiet, Murong Yu said as he glared at the large black dog. At this point, he had already vaguely guessed what had happened. The large black dog sized up the fire-eyed golden ape and the heavenly demon god with a suspicious gaze. The golden light that had shot out from the heavenly demon god's eyes had already disappeared. At that moment, the sky demon god's eyes were spinning like a dream. From afar, the heavenly demon god's eyes were like the countless stars in the sky. They emitted waves of dreamy light, illusory and unfathomable. Other than that, the heavenly Yao god did not show any other signs of abnormality. There was still no aura of death, nor was there any aura of life. It was a completely lifeless corpse. However, the blood on the sky demon god's chest wound was still fresh, as if he had just been injured. However, the strange thing was that the blood only appeared at the wound. There was no blood anywhere else on the heaven Fey god's body. It was very strange. The large black dog shook his head and stretched out a large hand to grab the fire-eyed golden ape. Big black dog, don't move. Murong Yu slapped away the large black dog's paw. At the same time, he said, the fire-eyed golden ape is most likely accepting the heavenly demon god's inheritance. Don't cause trouble. He's accepting the heavenly demon god's legacy? That's impossible, right? The large black dog looked at the fire-eyed golden ape in disbelief. However, his expression quickly collapsed. The heavenly demon god and the fire-eyed golden ape were both fire-eyed golden apes. Moreover, it was very likely that the fire-eyed golden ape was the heavenly demon god's descendant. It was also very likely that the heavenly demon god's legacy had been given to the fire-eyed golden ape. Why isn't the heavenly demon god a heavenly dog? The large black dog howled in his mind. He was somewhat displeased. However, he didn't interrupt the fire-eyed golden ape's legacy. After all, this was the legacy of a god, not a celestial. If the fire-eyed golden ape had really received the heavenly demon god's legacy, then its achievements might be extremely terrifying. Even if it wasn't as powerful as the heavenly demon god, it wouldn't be too far off. It was very likely that the fire-eyed golden ape was another heavenly demon god. Moreover, the heavenly demon god had died halfway. If he hadn't died, with his talent, he would probably have become a big shot of the heaven realm by now, right? Receiving the heavenly demon god's legacy was definitely a good thing. In any case, the fire-eyed golden ape was by Murong Yu's side. Murong Yu naturally hoped that they would become stronger and stronger. If I can eat the heavenly demon god's body, then my strength will definitely increase explosively, right? The large black dog's eyes lit up as he looked at the heavenly demon god's body. He wondered if he should eat this heavenly demon god. However, very quickly, he felt discouraged. So what if he was a heavenly dog? So what if he could devour heaven and earth? He was only a demon king now. It was already very difficult for him to devour ordinary celestials, let alone a heavenly demon god. He didn't dare to eat it at all. Moreover, if he dared to eat the heavenly demon god, not only would Murong Yu forbid it, but the fire-eyed golden ape would also fight him to the death. After all, as long as the fire-eyed golden ape received the heavenly demon god's legacy, then the heavenly demon god would be his master. Moreover, the heavenly demon god would be his ancestor. He definitely wouldn't allow the heavenly dog to eat ancestor Cheetah's body. Extremely profound information was transmitted from the heavenly demon god's finger. Then, it continuously entered the fire-eyed golden ape's mind, directly becoming a part of his memory. That's right. Just as Murong Yu had guessed, the fire-eyed golden ape was receiving the heavenly demon god's legacy. In the instant that the heavenly demon god's finger touched his forehead, the fire-eyed golden ape really thought that he would die. However, he didn't expect that the heavenly demon god's weapon wasn't going to kill him, but rather the legacy. So boring. Can we leave this place first? It's already been a month. The large black dog was bored to death. He lay on the ground and pretended to be dead. There was no exit here. It was only a small room. It was as if they were trapped. This made the large black dog very displeased. Murong Yu naturally could leave. However, he didn't dare to leave now. Who knew if he would be able to enter this place again after leaving? If he wanted to leave, he would have to leave with the fire-eyed golden ape. Otherwise, the fire-eyed golden ape's power would definitely increase explosively after obtaining the heavenly demon god's legacy. If he was separated from the fire-eyed golden ape, just like that, then Murong Yu would lack a powerful elite by his side. However, he didn't expect the heavenly demon god's legacy to be so massive. It had been a month, and it still hadn't been completed. One could only imagine how powerful this heavenly demon god was. Time passed. Another half a month passed. On this day, the heavenly demon god finally retracted his hand. He closed his eyes again and resumed his sitting posture on the ground. At the same time, the fire-eyed golden ape suddenly opened his eyes. Two terrifying rays of light shot out from the fire-eyed golden ape's eyes. Then, they disappeared. Golden-furred ape, you've completed the legacy? Seeing this scene, the large black dog immediately woke up from his pretend dead state. He jumped up and ran to the fire-eyed golden ape's side. The fire-eyed golden ape nodded slightly. Then, he closed his eyes again. After a long time, he opened his eyes again. He didn't say anything. Instead, he immediately knelt in front of the heavenly demon god and kowtowed 3 times. At the same time, he said, "Master, I'll avenge you. Those enemies of yours, I'll kill them one by one and sacrifice them in front of you." Golden ape, you've really accepted the heavenly demon god's legacy? Murong Yu asked after the fire-eyed golden ape stood up. The fire-eyed golden ape nodded and said, "Yes, I've completely accepted Master's legacy. With time, I'll become even more powerful." Senior heavenly demon god, what happened? Murong Yu was very happy that the fire-eyed golden ape had accepted the heavenly demon god's legacy. After congratulating the fire-eyed golden ape, he immediately asked. He didn't have any thoughts about the heavenly demon god's legacy. Not to mention that the heavenly demon god's legacy was only suitable for the demon race. It was only suitable for the fire-eyed golden ape bloodline. Even if the human race could accept the heavenly demon god's legacy, Murong Yu didn't need it. One had to know that he had the chaotic celestial body. The only mental cultivation method he could cultivate was the chaotic celestial body records. Although the heavenly demon god's legacy was powerful, it still couldn't compare to the chaotic celestial body records. Now, he was more interested in the heavenly demon god. After all, although he knew part of the heavenly demon god story from the murals, it was too little. After the fire-eyed golden ape had accepted the heavenly demon god's legacy, perhaps the origin of the story had been passed down. Master's cultivation method is called heavenly demon god slaying. It's a cultivation method that he created himself. He started as an ordinary demon cultivator and gradually created a powerful cultivation method. It's because of this cultivation method that Master achieved what he did. Heavenly demon god slaying, a self-created cultivation method. Murong Yu was immediately shocked. Creating a cultivation method was extremely difficult. With Murong Yu's talent and strength, he could of course create a cultivation method, but these cultivation methods were too low-level and basically useless. But the heavenly demon god's self-created heavenly demon god slaying allowed him to cultivate to the god realm. One could imagine how powerful this cultivation method was. And the heavenly demon god himself was even more powerful. It was a pity that he had fallen midway. Otherwise, the current heavenly demon god would be even more terrifying. The reason why Master became the enemy of the entire world and everyone wanted to kill him was because he was involved in a shocking secret. It was this secret that caused Master's death. The fire-eyed golden ape's eyes burned with a fiery light. He was very hostile toward the enemies of the heavenly demon god. What shocking secret! Murong Yu was shocked. This secret actually caused the big shots of the heaven realm to act to kill the heavenly demon god. This secret was definitely not simple. Even the large black dog looked at the fire-eyed golden ape with a hopeful expression, hoping to learn this shocking secret from the fire-eyed golden ape. However, the fire-eyed golden ape shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "I don't know that secret. I don't even know who Master's enemies are. He had sealed all of this. Only when my strength reaches a certain level can I possibly know. Otherwise, knowing too much will only be disadvantageous to me." Woof! The large black dog rolled his eyes in displeasure and looked at the fire-eyed golden ape with disdain. "Golden-furred ape, your strength is really too weak. You actually don't even have the right to know about your master's enemies." Murong Yu was a little amused. The heavenly demon god only did this for the sake of his successor. After all, at his level, his enemies were at least celestial emperors. There might even be big shots of the heaven realm. Knowing in advance won't do the golden ape any good. Chapter 284. The fire-eyed golden ape had become the heavenly demon god's successor, and his disciple was also the heavenly demon god's descendant. After obtaining the heavenly demon god's legacy, the fire-eyed golden ape's strength would definitely skyrocket. In fact, he could easily cultivate to the heavenly demon god's level. This was a good thing for the fire-eyed golden ape. However, from another perspective, it was not a good thing. The heavenly demon god had too many enemies. When he had risen to power, there were too many people he had trampled beneath his feet. At the time, those people had been forced to submit to the heavenly demon god's power. However, the heavenly demon god had fallen, and those people had long since stopped caring about him. Moreover, when they discovered that the heavenly demon god's successor had appeared before them again, they would definitely do him harm. Aside from this, the heavenly demon god was also involved in a shocking secret. The big shots that had killed the heavenly demon god, and even the big shot from the heaven realm, had most likely wanted to obtain this huge secret, or perhaps they wanted to eliminate the heavenly demon god who knew this secret. The heavenly demon god's successor had appeared, and regardless of whether he knew this shocking secret or not, those people would not let the fire-eyed golden ape go. They would kill the wrong person without mercy. Of course, as long as the fire-eyed golden ape did not attract too much attention, there were probably not many people who knew that he was the heavenly demon god's successor. Moreover, who knew what era the heavenly demon god was from? If too much time had passed, his enemies would probably have long since exhausted their lifespans and died. In that case, as the heavenly demon god's successor, the fire-eyed golden ape was naturally not in any danger. Are we leaving just like that? Aren't we taking the heavenly demon god's corpse with us? The large black dog asked as he looked at the heavenly demon god's corpse reluctantly. This bastard was still reluctant to part with the heavenly demon god's corpse and wanted to eat him. The fire-eyed golden ape was furious. He glared at the large black dog with killing intent and was about to attack. Although this place looks simple and crude, it's the safest place for Master to be. As he spoke, the fire-eyed golden ape punched out a few corners of the room. Then, a door-like existence appeared in one of the corners of the room. Let's go. The fire-eyed golden ape was the first to step through the door, followed by the large black dog. Morongu muttered to himself for a moment. In the end, he decided not to leave a transfer array here. When they reappeared, they were already outside the tomb of the demon god. It's that headless demon. The large black dog stepped out of the void and let out a strange cry. This was because the incomparably powerful headless demon was just a few meters in front of him. It seemed to be looking at them coldly. The large black dog's fur instantly stood on end, and he immediately turned around to flee. However, the fire-eyed golden ape's reaction was completely different from the large black dog's. The fire-eyed golden ape had already arrived in front of the headless demon and said in a deep voice, "Senior, I hope that you can protect Master's body well. Other than me, no one else is allowed to enter this place, including the Master of the Ultimate Realm. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy." The headless demon did not reply. Or rather, he did not know if he could reply. The headless Fae's body trembled slightly before it turned around and stepped into the Heaven Fae God Tomb's entrance. Then, the large black dog saw that the door had disappeared without a trace. He left just like that. The large black dog asked suspiciously as he walked over and looked around. After confirming that the door had really disappeared into thin air, the large black dog said doubtfully, "He was originally a demon race elite and was my master's subordinate. Later, after he died, he was refined by my master and became his tomb keeper. He waited outside for my master's successor to appear. As long as my master's successor obtains the inheritance, my master's tomb will be completely sealed," the fire-eyed golden ape said calmly. "The headless demon is extremely powerful. If he attacked with his full strength, the three of us would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. We will be killed by him," the fire-eyed golden ape continued. Morongi nodded. The headless demon was a subordinate of the Heaven Fae god, so his strength was naturally not weak. This time, the headless demon did not attack with his full strength when they barged into the Holy Land, perhaps because of the fire-eyed golden ape. Otherwise, if it were anyone else, they would probably have been slapped to death by him. "Golden-furred ape, since you've already obtained the Heaven Fae god's inheritance, then are you going to destroy the master of the ultimate realm that almost ate you?" the large black dog said with a chuckle. "The master of the ultimate realm." The fire-eyed golden ape's eyes shot out two terrifying rays of light. "If I'm not wrong, the master of the ultimate realm should be an arrangement left behind by my master's enemy. They don't want the demon race here to be strong. Anyone whose strength reaches a certain level will be killed. They are afraid of a second Heaven Fae god rising. I must eliminate such a person, but now is not the time. My strength is not enough to fight against the master of the ultimate realm." Although the fire-eyed golden ape had obtained the Heaven Fae god's inheritance, his strength did not increase explosively because of it. To increase his strength, he still needed to cultivate. After all, he had only obtained the inheritance, and not the heaven fae god's empowerment. If it was empowerment, even if the fire-eyed golden ape could not reach the heaven fae god's level, he would not be far from it. After killing the master of the extreme heaven realm, Golden Ape, you can unify the extreme heaven realm and subdue all the demons here. If you want to avenge your master, you must have your own forces, Murong Yu said after pondering for a moment. Murong Yu had 100,000 chaos members. This was enough for him. However, the ultimate realm Fey King was not bad either. Moreover, this place was almost equivalent to a world. As long as he killed the master of the ultimate realm and subdued this place. In time, many Fey King-level existences would be born in the ultimate realm. This was a very powerful force. The fire-eyed golden ape nodded. Then, they entered the Hichu Luoshu world. At this time, Zushenzong was furious because Ma Tianyun was killed in the cultivation world. In the sect, even the experts of the older generation came out to search for Murong Yu. However, after half a year, Murong Yu seemed to have disappeared into thin air. There was no sign of Murong Yu in the cultivation world. After all, Murong Yu had been in the ultimate realm for almost half a year. Even if Zushenzong was 100 times stronger, he would not know that Murong Yu was in the ultimate realm and had obtained great benefits. However, even so, Zushenzong did not downplay this matter. After all, if Zushenzong gave up on killing Murong Yu so easily, how could Zushenzong still have the face to stay in the cultivation world? After all, Zushenzong was one of the top 10 sects. His dignity could not be insulted. Even if someone from the top 10 sects killed their top disciple, Zushenzong would probably fight, let alone Murong Yu alone. This matter became more and more intense. In the end, many people were even mocking Murong Yu, mocking him for being a coward who was afraid of death. Of course, this was all because of Zushenzong's incitement. His goal was to force Murong Yu out. Of course, whether Murong Yu was really a coward or not was only a matter of opinion. Murong Yu killed Zushenzong's top disciple, Ma Tianyun. This made him famous in the cultivation world once again. Many cultivators were shocked by him, and the majority of the younger generation's cultivators had taken Murong Yu as their idol. A person should be like Murong Yu. So what if he was a rogue cultivator? So what if he had only cultivated for a dozen years? He could still kill the top disciple of the top 10 sects. In a short period of time, Murong Yu became the goal of many young cultivators. Especially those rogue cultivators, they felt proud and elated. When Murong Yu's name shook the cultivation world and Zushenzong was searching for him, another major event happened in the cultivation world. The saint son of the Fectus sect had fallen. The saint son of the Fectus sect, Hiyu, was a well-known figure among the younger generation of the Fectus sect. His strength even surpassed the saintess and top disciple. He was the number one person among the younger generation of the Fectus sect. Although Hiyu's strength did not enter the top 10 of the Dragon Phoenix list, he was not weak either. He was ranked 11th. His ranking was slightly behind, but his strength was not weak. However, 3 days ago, he was actually killed by someone. He was killed in one of the 5 great cities of the cultivation world, Xianyang City. And the person who killed him was none other than the Little Ape King, who was ranked 4th on the Dragon Phoenix list. The difference in strength between the 4th and 11th was not too big. However, the saint son of the Fectus sect was killed by the Little Ape King, just like that. Even if Yun's path protector was nearby, he could not save Yun's life. The most legendary thing was that the Little Ape King did not have a path protector. He was able to kill Yun without the help of a path protector. He also did not have the help of the fire-eyed golden ape and the big black dog like Murong Yu. He was able to kill Yun because of his own strength. The saint son of the Fectus sect was killed. This was the second important person to die in half a year. For a moment, the cultivation world was shaken again. Hey, did you know? The number one person of the Fectus sect's younger generation was killed by the Little Ape King. Nonsense. This news is already spread throughout the cultivation world. Who doesn't know about it? Someone said angrily. But do you know that the little ape king is being chased by He-Yu's Path Protector? TSK, TSK. It is said that He-Yu's Path Protector is at least a first step immortal. How is it? Has the little ape king been killed without a guardian? This person immediately became interested. How can it be so easy? Although the little ape king does not have a path protector, he is extremely powerful. Although he does not have a space treasure like Murongyu, He-Yu's path protector is unable to kill him. However, the little ape king is unable to shake him off. Moreover, the Fectus sect is already furious. Many experts have already come out to kill the little ape king. I'm afraid the little ape king is going to suffer a tragedy. The Fectus sect is one of the top 10 sects and is extremely powerful. However, the little ape king's backer is not weak either. Behind him is one of the top 10 demon kings of the Demon Mountain, the giant ape king. The Fectus sect is chasing him without restraint. Are they not afraid that the giant ape king will attack? Chapter 285. The giant ape king was in the final step of his seclusion. Legend had it that if the giant ape king came out of seclusion, he would ascend and become the first person to do so in the past several 100,000 years. Or it could be said that the giant ape king was nearing the end of his life. If he couldn't make a breakthrough in this seclusion, then he would die of old age. Because of this, after the giant ape king's grandson, the little ape king, who was ranked 4th on the Dragon Phoenix list, killed the saint child of the Tianji sect. Not only did He-Yu's Path Protector become furious and pursue the little ape king, even the older generation experts of the Tianji sect moved out to kill the little ape king. The Tianji sect was one of the top 10 sects and was very powerful. As one of the top 10 demon kings of the Devil Mountain, the giant ape king's strength and influence were not weak either. Under normal circumstances, if the saint child was killed, both sides might not turn hostile. After all, this situation would cause a war between both sides. In the end, both sides might suffer heavy losses. Obviously, the Tianji sect had received some news that the giant ape king was nearing the end of his life. Because of this, they were no longer afraid of the giant ape king and swore to kill the little ape king. After all, although there were many demon kings in the Devil Mountain, there were still the top 10 demon kings. However, the top 10 demon kings were not a single entity, just like the top 10 sects in the cultivation world. If the Fectus sect was annihilated, the other 9 of the top 10 sects wouldn't even stand up for them. Unless the power that destroyed the Fectus sect was a threat to their existence, they couldn't wait for these sects to be completely annihilated. The top 10 demon kings had the same mentality. Suddenly, many forces became restless. They guessed that the giant ape king was nearing the end of his life and wanted to kill him. However, most of the forces only thought about it. The giant ape king's forces were located in the depths of the Devil Mountain. Even if they killed the little ape king, they wouldn't gain anything. Moreover, with the Tianji sect's strength, killing the little ape king was only a matter of time unless he escaped into the Devil Mountain. However, since the Tianji sect had made up their mind to kill the little ape king, how could they give him the chance to escape back to the Devil Mountain? At this moment, the experts of the Tianji sect had finished their preparations outside the Devil Mountain. Once the Ape King appeared, they would attack and kill the little Ape King. The little Ape King naturally knew about this. Therefore, he didn't escape back to the Demon Mountain. Instead, he stayed in the cultivation world to avoid the pursuit of Tao Protector He-Yu. It was just that he couldn't get rid of it. In Hichu Luoshu, it had been 3 days since they had left the extreme Heaven Holy Land. Over the past 3 days, the fiery-eyed golden ape had been digesting the heavenly demon god's inheritance. On this day, he found Murongyu and the large black dog. "My lord, damn dog, this time I was able to survive and obtain master's inheritance because of your help. Otherwise, I would have been eaten by the master of the extreme heaven realm long ago." The fire-eyed golden ape looked at Murongyu and the big black dog and said in a deep voice. The fire-eyed golden ape was right. If it was not for the fact that he had encountered the large black dog and had engaged in a great battle with it, and had been caught by Murongyu in the end, who had just happened to escape, he would have long since been eaten. It could be said that his life, and even his everything, was because of Muron Yu and the large black dog. Golden-furred ape, actually, I did not want to save you, the large black dog said as he glanced at the fire-eyed golden ape. You can't save me even if you wanted to. The fire-eyed golden ape glared at the large black dog, and then continued. This time, I obtained Master's inheritance, and if I did not die midway, my future achievements would definitely not be bad. All of this is because of my lord and the large black dog. And I, the fire-eyed golden ape, am not someone who does not know how to repay kindness. So, I feel that I should share Master's inheritance with you. The fire-eyed golden ape looked at Muron Yu and the large black dog and said with a determined expression, What? Share the heavenly demon god's inheritance? Muron Yu and the large black dog were immediately shocked. That was the heavenly demon god's inheritance, and the fire-eyed golden ape was sharing it just like that? Yes, if not for the two of you, I would not have everything I have now, the fire-eyed golden ape said firmly. He had already thought about this matter for 3 days and finally decided to do so. However, I don't know if the heavenly demon god slaying mental cultivation method is useful to you. But even if it's useless, you can refer to Master's cultivation experience, and this will be extremely beneficial to your cultivation. It's not just extremely beneficial. That's the heavenly demon god's countless years of cultivation experience. Obtaining this experience is equivalent to having a god giving you guidance. Muron Yu said in shock. Although Hichu's strength was not bad, and he might have been even stronger than the heavenly demon god in the past. But after all, he was an artifact spirit, and his cultivation was very simple and was completely different from human or demon cultivators. Although he could give Muron Yu great guidance, it was not as good as the heavenly demon god's inheritance. After all, Hichu's guidance to Muron Yu was not an inheritance, and there were many aspects that he neglected. But the heavenly demon god's inheritance was not neglected, and even a small matter would be recorded in the inheritance. Muron Yu was excited. He did not care about the heavenly demon god slaying mental cultivation method, but the heavenly demon god's cultivation experience. At the same time, the heavenly dog was also very shocked. It was also a demon, and perhaps it could also cultivate the heavenly demon god slaying mental cultivation method. Even if it could not cultivate it, it could be used as a reference. Seeing the shock on Mu Rang's and the large black dog's faces, the fire-eyed golden ape did not say anything else and pointed 2 fingers. Instantly, a vast amount of information appeared in Muron Yu and the large black dog's memories. Unlike the fire-eyed golden ape who had used close to 2 months to receive the heavenly demon god's inheritance, this was not an inheritance, so it was completed in a few breaths' time. A vast amount of information appeared out of thin air and became a part of Muron Yu's memories. These were the heavenly demon god's cultivation experience from ordinary demons all the way to the heavenly demon god level. There is also the heavenly demon god's cultivation method. Heavenly demon god slaying mental cultivation method. With just a cursory glance at the heavenly demon god slaying mental cultivation method, Muron Yu knew that this cultivation method was only suitable for demons to cultivate and could only be cultivated by the fire-eyed golden ape bloodline. However, this cultivation method was really heaven-defying, as long as it was used as a reference, compared with the chaotic celestial body records, and combined with the heavenly demon god's cultivation experience. Muron Yu's cultivation speed would become even faster. Burn the spirit vein, speed up time by 200 times. Soon, Muron Yu decided to speed up time to comprehend the heavenly demon god's cultivation experience. In the following time, Muron Yu and the other 2 began to cultivate. The heavenly fiend god slaying heavenly fiend was a highly advanced cultivation technique. Although Muron Yu couldn't cultivate it, he could use it as a reference. At the same time, he was also absorbing the heavenly fiend god's cultivation experience and insights. After obtaining these incomparably precious experiences, Muron Yu only needed to fuse with them. If he could integrate them and truly make them a part of his memories, then Muron, you would have the equivalent of gaining a god's cultivation experience. Although it was only from the demon race, it was still extremely precious experience. It was like an expert who was originally a god, but due to some accident, his cultivation had been reduced to nothing and he had become immortal. Once such a person started cultivating, his cultivation speed would be extremely terrifying. After all, with his own cultivation experience, he would know what to pay attention to, how to break through, and so on. There was no limit to his cultivation level. Therefore, the cultivators who obtained the inheritance would have their cultivation level soar after obtaining the inheritance. After all, the experience of their predecessors was in their minds. If their cultivation level could not soar, then this person was really stupid. It took Muron a year to completely integrate this part of the heavenly demon god's memories into his own. After integrating the memories, Muron seemed to see a smooth path appear in front of him. The tribulation stage, the transformation stage, the immortal stage, and even the god stage. Every realm appeared clearly in Muron's mind. The feeling of being at a loss and not knowing where to start completely disappeared from Muron's mind. At this moment, he was only at the body integration stage, but he had already seen the immortal realm and even knew how to break through that realm. As long as Muron's strength was enough, he could take advantage of the opportunity to break through. All these benefits were equivalent to recultivating for a second time. So, the heavenly demon god was also struck by lightning every time he broke through a realm. Muron's face was full of tears. He had finally found a kindred spirit. It turned out that he was not the only one in this world who was struck by lightning every day. Every time he broke through a realm, he would be struck by lightning. The heavenly demon god's physical body must be very strong. However, Muron's physical body was even stronger because he had a supreme physique. It's time to break through to the tribulation stage. I just don't know if I will directly pass through the 49 heavenly tribulations this time and enter the transformation stage. Muron thought to himself. The realms in the cultivation world were generally divided into the early stage, middle stage, and late stage. However, every time Muron broke through, he directly skipped these small realms and reached the peak of this realm. However, the tribulation stage was different from the ordinary realms. The late stage of the tribulation stage was the 49 heavenly tribulations. As long as he passed through the 49 heavenly tribulations, he would enter the transformation stage. He won't directly pass through the 49 heavenly tribulations, right? Muron pondered for a moment and said with some uncertainty. If that was the case, Muron would have to endure the ordinary heavenly tribulations and the 49 heavenly tribulations at the same time. Even if Muron's strength was incomparably strong, there was a great possibility that he would not be able to withstand it. At most, I will just suppress my realm. Muron gritted his teeth and said, perhaps only Muron would be distressed by the huge gap between realms. The other cultivators probably couldn't wait to do so, right? When I was in the form synthesis stage, I could already kill ordinary cultivators in the transformation stage. Once I enter the tribulation stage, I'm afraid that even experts in the half-immortal realm can be easily killed. Even first-step immortals are not impossible to kill. I'm really looking forward to it. Muron laughed mischievously. His figure flashed and disappeared into the Hichu Luo Shu. If he wanted to break through, he needed a large amount of energy. Ordinary spirit veins were simply unable to provide enough energy. Only the primal chaos energy could be found. Apart from the Demon Mountain, there was also the immortal necropolis. Therefore, Muron appeared in the immortal necropolis again to break through here. Chapter 286. The immortal necropolis appeared out of thin air in the depths of the East Sea half a year ago. The entire immortal necropolis was sealed by a huge restriction. In the beginning, it blocked the path of countless experts. However, as the experts of the various sects made their moves, this terrifying restriction could no longer stop people from entering the immortal necropolis. Even so, the immortal necropolis was not a place that could be entered as one wished. Apart from the large sects, there were only a few small sections. As for the itinerant cultivators, they could only watch from outside the immortal necropolis. The restriction was filled with extremely dense chaotic energy, but there were many spirit veins buried inside. In the past half a year, countless experts had entered the immortal necropolis. Under the plundering of the various sects and countless experts, almost all the spirit veins in the immortal necropolis had been plundered. Apart from the group of palaces in the center of the immortal necropolis, all the other places had been explored. Therefore, after half a year, there were not many cultivators in the immortal necropolis. There were only people who wanted to try their luck in the immortal necropolis. In an endless mountain range, Murong Yu sat cross-legged on the peak of a mountain. On two peaks not far from him, the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape stood proudly between heaven and earth, guarding Murong Yu. After obtaining the heavenly demon god's cultivation experience, they had already comprehended it in the Hichu Luoshu for a year. Under the 200-fold time acceleration, less than 2 days had passed outside. In this year, the strength of the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape had increased. They were a bit stronger than before entering the extreme divine realm. Especially after the fire-eyed golden ape had obtained the heavenly demon god's inheritance, its strength had skyrocketed. Originally, when they met Murong Yu, the fire-eyed golden ape was only the lowest level demon king. However, in a short year, its strength had skyrocketed. It had at least grown to around the mid-level demon king, almost comparable to a high-level demon king. Of course, there was still a big gap between it and those top-level demon kings. However, as long as he was given enough time, his strength would be absolute. Murong Yu had chosen to break through in the immortal necropolis this time because he had no choice. Who asked him to absorb chaotic energy? Even if a grade 9 spiritual vein could provide him with enough power, it would be too wasteful. He couldn't go deep into Demon Mountain, so he could only go to Celestial Tomb. However, although there were not many cultivators left within the Immortal Mound, Murong Yu's breakthrough would surely result in a worldly phenomenon. When that happened, it would attract the attention of other cultivators. Moreover, it was very likely that it would lead to Zhu Shenzong and other experts of the older generation to attack him. Therefore, he needed the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape to protect him. Even the 100,000 members of the primal chaos in the Hichu Luoshu were prepared to attack. Huhu, after Murong Yu began to absorb the primal chaos energy, countless streams of primal chaos energy swarmed towards him like a tidal wave. It didn't take long for Murong Yu's body to turn into a black hole-like existence, frantically devouring the surrounding primal chaos energy. Immediately, the chaotic energy within a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers, or even hundreds of thousands of kilometers, began to tremble. Following Murong Yu's devouring, the chaotic energy rapidly swarmed over. How similar was this scene to what happened half a year ago? Back then, Murong Yu had also devoured the power of primal chaos in the immortal necropolis, allowing the tree of life to grow from a branch into a tree. From then on, Murong Yu's regenerative abilities had become extremely abnormal. However, Murong Yu's strength was now countless times stronger than before. The worldly phenomenon he caused was even more spectacular and terrifying. At the same time, the tree of life in Murong Yu's dantian and the billions of roots in the void also began to move happily and began to madly absorb the chaotic energy drifting between heaven and earth. Suddenly, rich and pure chaotic energy began to surge into Murong Yu's body in large amounts. Murong Yu circulated his mental cultivation method and began to break through to the tribulation stage. The chaotic celestial record had a total of 9 major realms, and each major realm was further subdivided into 3 levels. Not long ago, the chaotic celestial record had successfully broken through to the 1st and 2nd levels, causing Murong Yu's strength to soar. However, it had always been very difficult to break through the chaotic celestial record. There were 9 major realms, and the first level of the chaotic celestial record only corresponded to the 10 major realms of the cultivation world. In other words, if the first level of the chaotic celestial record was completed, Murongyu's realm would also be completed, and he could even ascend to the immortal world. I wonder if I can break through to the 3rd level of the chaotic celestial record from the first level. Murongyu divided the chaotic energy that he absorbed into his body into 2 parts. One part was used to temper his body, and the other part was stored in his body. As long as he had enough energy, he could break through to the next realm in one fell swoop. At the same time, during this process, he circulated the chaotic celestial record frantically in an attempt to break through to the 3rd level of the first major realm. As Murongyu continued to absorb the chaotic energy, the energy accumulated in his body increased, and he was about to reach the peak. As long as he reached the peak, he could break through his current realm and enter the tribulation stage in one fell swoop. The worldly phenomenon became more and more intense, and finally attracted the attention of the nearby cultivators. In an instant, countless cultivators flew over to this side. Soon, many cultivators gathered around Murongyu. When they saw that the worldly phenomenon was caused by Murongyu, they were shocked. When someone recognized Murongyu's identity, they were even more shocked. Murongyu. He's the Murongyu who killed Zushinzong's chief disciple. Some people looked at Murongyu with incomparable shock. However, some people had already begun to spread the news of Murongyu's breakthrough in the immortal tomb. Nowadays, there were 2 major events in the cultivation world that people often talked about. One was that Murongyu had killed Zushinzong's chief disciple, and the other was that the Little Ape King had killed the saint of the Tianji sect. The Little Ape King was now being hunted down by the older generation experts of the Tianji sect. Murongyu, who had disappeared after killing Ma Tianyun, reappeared in the immortal tomb half a year later. What? Murongyu reappeared in the immortal tomb? He's actually breaking through there? The people of Zushinzong immediately received this news. Immediately, the experts of Zushinzong sneered. Very good. If he hides in the space treasure forever, we Zushinzong won't be able to do anything to him. But now, he's actually breaking through in the immortal tomb. He's really courting death. In an instant, many powerhouses of the older generation of the Void Sky sect, including those at the late stage of the transformation stage, half immortal realm, and even first immortal realm powerhouses, all rushed towards the immortal mound at their fastest speed. Murongyu was breaking through. As everyone knew, one couldn't stop during a breakthrough. Otherwise, one would suffer a backlash and be seriously injured. In the worst case, one's realm would drop and be forever stuck in this realm, or even die on the spot. However, the speed of Zushinzong's immortal tomb was very fast. Even if these experts were extremely fast, it would still take some time to reach the immortal tomb. However, there were experts of Zushinzong in the vicinity of the immortal tomb. Therefore, when they received the news of Murongyu's breakthrough in the immortal tomb, the 3 elders of Zushinzong rushed towards the immortal tomb with murderous intent. The 3 elders were powerhouses at the later stage of the transformation period. His speed was extremely fast, and it didn't take long for him to reach Murongyu's vicinity. Sure enough, it's that little bastard Murongyu. This phenomenon is too frightening. Given enough time, his strength will reach a frightening level. However, this little bastard actually dared to cultivate here. He deserves to die. The anomaly caused by Murongyu's breakthrough was really shocking. The primal chaos energy was like a tide that swarmed over. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to get close at all. They would be torn apart by the raging primal chaos energy. However, the 3 elders of the Void Sky sect were all super powerhouses at the late stage of the transformation stage. As he took a step forward, the void collapsed. The void within 100 miles of this elder from the Void Sky sect instantly froze and calmed down. Little bastard Murongyu die. This elder laughed maliciously. He stretched out a large hand and shattered the void. He directly grabbed at Murongyu. wanting to kill him directly. Woof! F*CK, you're all courting death. Seeing that someone actually dared to attack Muronyu, the large black dog was instantly enraged. His figure swayed, and his entire body suddenly enlarged. Like a divine mountain, he stood proudly between heaven and earth. His appearance was very ferocious and terrifying. At the same time, he bit at this expert of Zushinzong. Bastard, you're courting death. Seeing that a dog actually dared to attack him, this elder of Zushinzong was instantly enraged. He shouted disdainfully. With a flip of his hand, he abandoned attacking Muronyu and grabbed at the large black dog. Pung! The large black dog was a heavenly dog. His mouth could swallow heaven and earth. He was extremely terrifying. Moreover, after obtaining the cultivation experience of the heavenly demon god, his strength had skyrocketed. After a loud sound, the large hand that this elder of Zushinzong had slapped out shattered before it could reach the large black dog. With a crack, the large black dog fiercely bit down. Instantly, a huge hole was bitten into the sky within a radius of 10,000 miles. This late transformation stage elder of Zushinzong was instantly shocked. His figure swayed, and he wanted to retreat rapidly. However, it was too late. The large black dog took a step and instantly traversed countless spaces. His large mouth bit down and actually swallowed the surrounding 10,000 miles of void, along with this elder of Zushinzong. Seeing this scene, the jaws of the surrounding people instantly dropped to the ground. They were extremely shocked. This elder of Zushinzong was actually swallowed by this large black dog? He couldn't even withstand a single attack? The large black dog was originally in existence on the level of a demon king. His strength was about the same as a cultivator in the late transformation stage, and recently his strength had skyrocketed. At this moment, a mere cultivator in the late transformation stage was completely no match for him. 3 elders, and one was swallowed by the large black dog in a single exchange. The remaining 2 elders looked at each other, their faces filled with shock. They didn't expect the large black dog's strength to be so terrifying. And from beginning to end, Muronyu didn't even open his eyes. Chapter 287. Die. Just as the remaining 2 elders of Zushinzong were in shock, a thunderous roar suddenly rang out. At the same time, an incomparably huge goldenrod had already shattered the void and ruthlessly smashed down on one of the elders of Zushinzong. The 2 elders were still in shock from the terror of the large black dog, but they were startled awake by this roar. With a thought, the 2 elders were about to teleport away. With a muffled pew, the golden rod shattered billions of space and directly smashed one of the elders of Zushinzong into a pile of meat paste. He couldn't be more dead. The fire-eyed golden ape's strength was originally on par with the large black dog's, and after receiving the inheritance of the heavenly demon god, his strength had increased even more, and at this time, he was already slightly stronger than the large black dog. If the large black dog could eat a late-stage transformation realm Zushinzong elder, the fire-eyed golden ape could do the same. They were only at the late-stage transformation realm, and even if it was a half-immortal elite, the 2 of them could directly kill them. In a few breaths' time, 2 late-stage transformation realm Zushinzong elders were killed. The large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape displayed their terrifying strength, and it shocked many of the nearby cultivators. In particular, the last elder of Zushinzong was so frightened that he was about to use teleportation to escape. Where do you think you're going? Seeing this, the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape sneered. One opened his mouth and directly bit at this elder, and the other ruthlessly smashed out with his rod. The speed of teleportation was extremely fast, but there was also a limit to the distance. For example, this late-stage transformation realm Zushinzong elder could only teleport a distance of tens of thousands of miles at most. Meanwhile, when it came to elites at the level of the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape, a single palm strike could unleash a frightening power that could envelop a radius of several tens of thousands of miles. They could easily knock this escaping elite out of the void. Therefore, at their level, teleportation was no longer of much use in battle. On the contrary, because teleportation required a large amount of energy and the distance was too short, many experts had already abandoned teleportation. Zushenzong, an elder at the late stage of the transformation realm, wasn't a match for the large black dog or the fire-eyed golden ape. Now, with the two of them attacking together, Zushenzong's elder could not resist at all. With a loud bang, the fire-eyed golden ape knocked the Void Sky Sect's elder out of the void with a single strike. Meanwhile, the large black dog took advantage of this opportunity to charge forward and viciously bit down, directly swallowing Zushenzong, the elder. In less than the time it took to brew a cup of tea, 3 of Zushenzong's late-stage transformation realm elders were killed by the fire-eyed golden ape and the big black dog. From beginning to end, Murong-Yu did not even open his eyes. It was clear that Murong-Yu was extremely confident in the strength of the large black dog and the black tiger. Or perhaps it could be said that he was at a critical juncture of his breakthrough and couldn't afford to be distracted. It was very clear that Murong-Yu was not indifferent to this, but was already at a critical juncture of his breakthrough. This was definitely the best opportunity to kill him. This thought appeared in the minds of countless people, but no one dared to make a move. At this moment, the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape had already returned to Murong-Yu's side and were looking at the surrounding cultivators with ferocious gazes. The 3 elders of the Void Sky Sect had been killed by them at lightning speed, and this group of people had long been intimidated. Moreover, the strength of these people was not strong. My lord said before, whoever dares to make a move, directly kill. At the same time, remember the sect he's in. After my lord successfully breaks through, personally pay a visit. At the same time, see which sect is the most enthusiastic. My lord can go to their sect to undergo tribulation after breaking through. The fire-eyed golden ape's voice was not loud, but it spread out far and wide like thunder and rang clearly in the ears of the nearby cultivators. Everyone shuddered. With Murong-Yu's strength and the power behind him, if he paid a visit to that sect would definitely be bathed in blood. Especially the fire-eyed golden ape's last sentence. It was really too lethal. Go to whichever sect is the most enthusiastic to undergo tribulation. For more than 10 years, every time Murong-Yu's strength broke through, he would undergo tribulation. This was something that everyone in the cultivation world knew. It was also because of this that Murong-Yu had used the heavenly tribulation to kill countless cultivators. If he went to any sect to undergo tribulation, even if that sect had half-step immortals, it could be destroyed. After all, this kind of tribulation would have different power depending on the number of cultivators and the strength of their strength. Unless they were able to kill Murong-Yu before he underwent his tribulation, even the 10 great sects would suffer heavy casualties. Vicious, really vicious. Everyone involuntarily took a few steps back, and all of them looked at Murong-Yu fiercely. He still wants to break through safely? I think the experts of Zushenzong have already rushed over, right? When the time comes, even you 2 bastards will be killed. A cultivator in the crowd laughed loudly. That's right. Murong-Yu will definitely die, someone said. Perhaps we will die one day, but you will definitely not live to see it, because you will die now. The fire-eyed golden ape roared, and at the same time, he leaped into the void. The golden rod in his hand carried a terrifying aura that could destroy the heavens and earth as it rapidly smashed down on the crowd below. Seeing this, the crowd on the ground was shocked. The power of the fire-eyed golden ape was obvious to all of them. Seeing the fire-eyed golden ape smashing down indiscriminately with his rod, these people immediately used their speed to escape into the distance. Motherf asterisk her, which bastard said that? If you want to die, don't drag us down with you. While many cultivators were escaping, they kept cursing the 2 idiots who had spoken just now. Boom! The fire-eyed golden ape smashed out with his rod in anger. Even a cultivator in the late stage of the transformation realm could not escape, let alone these cultivators who had not even reached the late stage of the transformation realm. With one strike of the rod, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The earth fell silent. The crowd below the void was instantly smashed into fine powder. With one strike of the rod, thousands of people were directly killed. Asterisk curs, hurry up and get lost. When the fire-eyed golden ape attacked in anger, the large black dog also stepped on the void and ascended into the sky as he roared angrily. At the same time, his body swayed and expanded with the wind, like a divine mountain floating in the sky. Then, he opened his mouth and bit down fiercely. Kacha! A large piece of the void was directly bitten off. Along with the crowd below, there were also a few hundred people who were directly swallowed by him. Kill them all, the large black dog shouted loudly, and turned to the other side to bite down again. At the same time, the fire-eyed golden ape also smashed down with his rod. Seeing that these two extremely ferocious fellows were actually about to start a massacre, the nearby crowd instantly shouted and quickly escaped into the distance. After all, the difference in strength between them and the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape was really too big. With one strike of the fire-eyed golden ape's rod, thousands of cultivators were turned into ashes. The large black dog was even more vicious. With one bite, hundreds of people were eaten by him. It was unknown how big his stomach was to actually be able to swallow so many people. Two beasts, you're courting death. Just as the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape attacked and killed the nearby cultivators, an angry roar came from afar. At the same time, a huge hand broke through the obstruction of the void and reached over from afar, enveloping the large black dog, the fire-eyed golden ape, and even Moronyu, who was in the midst of breaking through, wanting to kill the three of them in one strike. You're courting death. Seeing that this cultivator was so arrogant and actually wanted to kill the three of them with a single strike, the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape flew into a rage. Immediately, the two of them abandoned those cultivators with lower cultivation levels and faced the powerful cultivator who was attacking them. Han Long Long. Three extremely terrifying forces violently collided in the void and then directly exploded, immediately disappearing into the void. Blinding divine light soared into the sky, illuminating this piece of heaven and earth. An extremely terrifying impact swept out, directly tearing and shattering the void within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. A large part of the ground was directly hit and sunk. Humph! The person who came gave a muffled groan, and his figure was sent flying. As for the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape, they were also sent back a few steps. The combined strength of the two of them was actually unable to kill the other party, and only sent the other party flying, while they were also sent flying. This caused the fire-eyed golden ape and the large black dog's expressions to instantly darken. Half immortal. It was definitely a half-immortal level elite that had arrived. Half-immortals were actually also considered as cultivators in transformation stage, but half-immortal level elites already had half of their physical bodies transformed into immortal bodies, and their strength was much stronger than cultivators in the late transformation stage. The large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape were also half-immortal level elites, and the two of them together were unable to directly kill this half-immortal level elite, which meant that this person was also a powerful figure among half-immortals. Glancing at Moronyu, who was still in the midst of breaking through, the fire-eyed golden ape and the large black dog looked at each other and saw the worry in each other's eyes. Very obviously, this half-immortal level elite was an elite that had rushed over from outside the immortal tomb. Other than him, there were definitely even more elites rushing over to the immortal tomb. With their speed, they should have arrived by now. Although the large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape were powerful, if there were too many half-immortal level elites, the two of them wouldn't be a match. Moreover, it was said that Zushinzong even had first-step immortals and even half-step immortals rushing over here. Kill! The large black dog and the fire-eyed golden ape looked at each other and then roared and charged toward this half-immortal level elite. No matter how many people came over, they would do their best to kill them all. Halfway through, the large black dog suddenly asked, CK, which sect are you from, bastard? The half-immortal level elite in the distance was stunned, and then he sneered, I am Elder Fantong of the Origin Void sect. You two better remember, the person who killed you is called Fantong. Fantong charged over with a cold smile. The good-for-nothing of the Origin Void sect? Very good. I'll remember. Soon, we will pay a visit to the Origin Void sect, the large black dog said sinisterly. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.